He never strikes twice in the same place. Well, on May 3rd, that actually turned out to be true. Starting in on May 3rd, 2002, with the arrival of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, blowing up the box office, becoming one of the most influential films in comic book history, history would repeat itself just 6 years later on May 3rd, 2008, when a film that was started by Marvel Studios, Marvel was trying to start up their own production studio by putting movies together, and they brought on a young actor turned director by the name of Jon Favreau. And he decided to make a comic book movie based on a lesser known character that features an actor whose trials and tribulations have played out publicly in the press for the last 15 years. That actor's name turned out to be Robert Downey Jr. So at the end of the day, this was a huge gamble. It was a risk. And I guess in the end, it paid off because it started what we know today as the MCU, also known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before we introduce you to our panelists and begin our feature presentation, let's take a look back at how the Marvel Cinematic Universe got started with its origins. Take a look.
You become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Now available on Blu-ray and DVD.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah, I can fly.
I just said, wow, man, what a cool suit, what a great crew, what a blast.
We wanted to have more fun and have more action and really deliver the Hulk that we thought audiences wanted to see.
As soon as I heard that there was a possible part, I was desperate to be a part of it.
I want one.
No.
I feel incredibly excited to be sort of part of it.
I thought it was such an extraordinary project.
Please make it a challenge for me.
Don't know when to give up, do you?
I can do this all day.
He's everything that I wish I could be as a man. You know, he's good for the sake of good.
What made you so special?
Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
What we're doing here is completely unprecedented. Marvel is taking the characters and bringing them all together in a team franchise movie experience, which really has never been done before.
And for the first time ever, from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Phase 1, Avengers Assemble Limited Edition Collection. Available now at participating retailers and at AvengersAssemble.com.
Oh, it is good to be back. Welcome to a new season of the Movie Anniversary Watchalongs. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and tonight, right here in this very virtual movie theater, as you can see, we have cleaned up the place. We have given it a fresh new look, and we are happy that you are with us. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. We are going to be celebrating the 15th anniversary of Iron Man, starring Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges, Terrence Howard, Gwyneth Paltrow, among many, many others, directed by the one and only Jon Favreau. Joining me, and hey, you know what they say, Avengers Assemble, right? So joining us is a Marvelite, someone who's been a fan since pretty much since the very beginning when Marvel was first established 4,000 years ago. Please welcome the host of Fanatic Forum, George Bueller, to the stage. George, welcome in, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Dude, I'm not that old, dude. Come on.
Age is just a number, my friend.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, I'm wearing my. See, I got dusted by Thanos, so all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Well, yeah. Well, we're thankful that you are with us, and this is going to be a great time. This is going to be a lot of fun. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is your first time here, here's what we're going to do. In a moment, we are going to hit the play button on our streaming device or our physical media. We're watching the movie Iron Man tonight. It is streaming on Disney+, hashtag not a sponsor. We're going to start at the 000 mark. So basically when the movie starts, when the Paramount logo is starting to appear on your screen. So we're going to give you a moment to queue up your copy. So before we get to the magic, also known as hitting the play button. George, what was your experience like seeing this movie for the first time way back when in the year of 2008?
This was really cool. I was very excited, followed the development of this movie very closely. Because, of course, I remember back in the day when we were almost going to get an Iron Man movie in the 90s twice. Because first it was Tom Cruise, and he was going to produce the movie. And then again, it was going to be Nicolas Cage in the lead role. And so, yeah, it was a long time coming to get this. And it was exciting that, Marvel had their own thing. So, yeah, I was totally jazzed for this, ready to go see it. And, to give a tease for towards the end of the movie, a very important scene, an important kind of training that Marvel had to do for their viewing audience that we'll get to here. So it was also an important moment there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And for me, going back to 2008, 2008 was a heck of a year to be a fan of not just movies, but comic book movies. Because 2008, you had this, you had The Dark Knight. I mean, you had The Incredible Hulk, which also turns 15 this year, which we will talk more about later on this summer, which I'm very excited about. So it was a great time to be a fan. And for me, going in to see this movie, I was familiar with Iron Man. I remember watching Iron Man, the animated television series on Fox Kids, when you had Spider-Man and X-Men and some of the other shows that were there back then. So I was intrigued. I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've never really seen an Iron Man live action movie. This ought to be interesting. So I went in, saw the movie, and as many of you may have experienced for yourselves, I was shocked. I was blown away. I thought to myself, wow, I've never seen anything like this. This is very cool. This is very unique. Plus, hearing the song Iron Man played by Black Sabbath is no slouch either. So that kind of helps. I'm like, oh, so that's who Iron Man is, right? Well, not sort of, kind of, but not really. But anyway, just Black Sabbath playing on the words. But even so, it's cool. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And boy, was it a great time to be a comic book movie fan at that point in 2008. So without any further ado, if you have any thoughts on this movie, if you have any favorite memories, any questions, any fun little pieces of trivia that we may or may not know about, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so, so much for being with us. Without any further ado, we're going to start this movie in 3, 2, 1, and play. Here we go.
All right.
So the logo is starting to come up here. This is the Paramount Pictures logo. Some of these early MCU movies were originally distributed by Paramount Pictures.
And Hulk was by Universal.
Mm-hmm. Hulk was Universal, which came out later that summer. Yep. Some good stuff here.
There he goes. Sorry there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard some ruffling in the background. I'm like, should we be hearing that? I don't think so.
No, we shouldn't. Yeah, my
we had to clean it up a little bit. Everything's perfectly fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Sorry, I can't. It's one of those things.
Oh gosh.
So we open up the movie in the Kunar province of Afghanistan here for Iron Man's 15th anniversary celebration. He's in the Humvee, as it were.
Yep.
And we're hearing some Black Sabbath, hearing some Back in Black. Or AC/DC. I'm so sorry. Yes, AC/DC is right. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Great song, though. Great song.
Tony having a cocktail here while they're in the desert. Convoy here.
They're so nervous.
Yeah, that was the awesome thing about them casting RDJ in this role. Was just because, he had such a real life struggle with, substance abuse, was a big party kid, whatever else. And so to kind of have, to be able to have that little, I know what it's like to be in the public eye and to be constantly scrutinized and to also have some, self-destructive tendencies as well here. That just played just so well.
Mm-hmm. Is it true you went 12 for 12 for last year's Maxim cover models? Yeah, he went through a lot of struggles in his life for RDJ, and for them to cast him, this was a risk, but it paid off in spades because he brought a lot of his personal struggles to the role, and because he lived like Tony Stark in real life, so this just kind of worked for him.
Yeah, he was his career was kind of on the up at this point. So it wasn't so much a risk as in they're worried about and these demons being a problem during filming, it was more along the lines of like, he hadn't built his star back up that much. He'd been on the return, had some good movies come out, prior to this one coming out, and then, this just launched him into superstardom. So, but I do like that, time to time you get, sometimes you get a storied actor. This happens a lot on TV. You get a storied actor who's, been doing TV, all kinds. Like Bryan Cranston's a great example. That guy been doing all kinds of TV, been in movies, whatever else, and then Breaking Bad comes out, boom, he's a star.
Oh, things just went from having a good time in the Humvee to all of a sudden things are exploding around me. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Running for his life.
And that's a bomb literally with your name on it. That's the cool thing too, is that this is such a big moment in Tony's story that basically this explosion happens that gets the shrapnel in his heart, whatever else, but it like originally his origin goes back to Vietnam, and then later on it was changed to the Gulf War for the Ultimate Universe, and then now they basically went with Afghanistan, since that's kind of modern day right now. So.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. So his original origins, they had him. What was it in Vietnam? Okay.
Yeah.
Vietnam. They're sending me to Vietnam. It's this whole of a country.
But again, it was more. He was still a weapons manufacturer, and so he was there basically bringing some weapons to a large regiment, whatever else, and basically a very similar thing. An attack happens on the camp. He gets hurt with some bomb shrapnel and gets captured, and there you go. Basically thrown into a cave and forced to, work his way out.
Wow. Fascinating stuff there.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read any of the Iron Man comics, whether they be from the original, the Silver, the Bronze Age, the Modern Age. I haven't read any of them.
Oh, cool. Yeah. They were very much... in the 60s, the early stuff there, everything basically, they kind of made up a lot of technical jargon because they didn't really know what the heck they were writing. So everything was transistors. Transistors were responsible for everything, all of Iron Man's gadgets and things or whatever else. So, but then later on, you got better writers. They got better kind of tech savvy stuff. And so depending on who was writing, you got some really, good tech savvy stuff or whatever else with what they were doing. So there's definitely some highlights throughout the years of stuff that's worth reading.
Interesting. Well, as soon as I get through my 6 mile long TBR list, we'll get back to you, because it's so bad, it's so long.
And here's the original roadie here, Terrence Howard.
Oh, this year's Apogee Award. I kept wondering, what was the... Oh, Apogee Award. All right, so is that for like people who are like visionaries or things like that? Is that what it is? Or someone like is like an advanced...
It's probably something that has to do with, aviation, I'm not sure.
Technology.
Because, you don't normally have a military person giving away an award like that unless there's some sort of military connection, so...
Gotcha. Apogee Award. Got it.
And
Tony, where are you?
Bridges here.
With a cue ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he always wanted to shave his head for a role and never had an opportunity. So he kind of got a kick out of being able to grow a beard and shave his head for the role. Yeah. So
I did not know that. And
there's Tony there. That girl to his right there. This girl, she looks a lot like Hilary Swank. That's what when I first saw it, it was like, is that Hilary Swank? Oh no, it's not Hilary Swank, but she looks a lot like her. There it is. Yeah, Tony is in this great environment there, just screwing around. Blow on the dice. Infamously, Terrence Howard did not join us for the rest of the MCU because he thought that his star was equal to Robert Downey Jr., so he should have more money for the sequels.
His payment disputes.
Marvel did not agree with that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's since, he right after went to Fox TV and had the
Empire.
Empire TV show, which was very successful for him. So he ain't hurting. So.
No, he landed on his feet. It is unfortunate, though. I would have liked to have seen him appear in more MCU movies, but due to the payment disputes and some of the behind-the-scenes issues, just couldn't come back.
Yeah, apparently he and Robert Downey Jr. got along behind the scenes, but they were very competitive for whatever reason. They did a lot of push-up contests and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's good. They just had a lot of physical competition, whatever else. So I guess just RDJ is kind of, I don't know. I guess he's just he's a competitive guy. He likes playing around like that. I don't know, whatever else. So I don't know if he was just goofing around or Terrence took it a little more seriously. I don't know, but apparently there was a lot of that on set. So apparently they were pumping up the arms pretty good. And there's old Happy Hogan in the background there.
Advancing medical technology, starvation, and telecorps breakthroughs, all military funding. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. Old Tony.
And by the way, for those of you just joining us, if you're wondering why my head is turning to a certain direction, that's because my screen is on a different area of my studio. Normally, I'd be looking straight ahead, but unfortunately, it's on a different side of the studio for the foreseeable future. So bear with me, folks. I'm not ignoring you, and I'm not ignoring the chat either. It's just I have to look a certain way at my screen. That's all I'm saying. But other than that, if you're just joining us and wondering what the heck is going on, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the MCU origin story known as Wolverine, starring Robert Downey Jr. and company. And we,
Wolverine?
But no, I said Iron Man, didn't I?
You said Wolverine.
My mind is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. 50th anniversary of Iron Man. Yes, directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr. That's what I was trying to say. And right now we are at the about the 10-minute mark here in the movie. So if you're just joining us and want to watch the movie along with us, it is streaming on Disney Plus, or if you have it on physical media, queue up your copy, watch it with us. If you have any memories, anything you want to share with us about it, or any fun little trivia facts, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat, and don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends.
Oh, Pep. Yeah, interestingly enough, Rachel McAdams was originally going to be cast as Pepper Potts. They were really liking her. And,
no kidding.
For whatever reason, she couldn't commit to it. And so later on, they used her down the role for Doctor Strange. But yeah, Favreau was really wanting her to be the role for Pepper.
I wonder what movie she was making at that point. I don't think it was The Time Traveler's Wife. I wonder what movie she was making at that point. It wasn't The Notebook. His Notebook was like 2004, 2005. I wonder what Rachel McAdams was up to at that point. That's a very interesting question. I did not know that. I would have liked to have seen that, her as Pepper Potts. She's a very good, capable actress. I think she could have done very well.
Yeah, and basically it would be a larger role than what Christine's role is with Doctor Strange, because she's basically done now as far as, the Christine role. They did a good job of writing her out, I guess.
Okay.
So
did Doctor Strange find a new love interest? Is that what happened?
Not yet, but he did meet Clea in a cutscene, so that's coming.
Is Clea?
Clea will be his wife if they stick to the books. She is basically the sorceress supreme of the dark dimension where Dormammu is from. Incidentally, she is also his niece. Yeah, she's got a really crappy family life because, her mother is it Urmamu or something like that? And she's basically evil. And then her uncle is Dormammu. So, she's got a lot of just evil family members. So she's been fighting her whole life. And being a warlord of the Dark Dimension and a Sorcerer Supreme, yeah, you're fighting constantly. So anytime she kind of gets to Earth, it's almost a little lightweight.
Who plays her, Clea, in the...
Charlize Theron did. So,
Charlize Theron. Wow, that's a huge casting choice.
Yep. So yeah, it's a major role. So when they finally got around to it, it's kind of I wish they would have got to her sooner, but that was good just to see her. Like I said, as soon as I see her step through a dimension, I see the white hair. I'm like, oh, it's Clea. Yep. So.
Cletus. No, Clea, sorry. Yeah. By the way, Dave Mattingly's here. He says, Dormammu, I'm here to bargain. No, I'm here to watch Iron Man. Thank you, Dave Mattingly, for chiming in. And I understood that reference because I actually did see Doctor Strange Part 1. I just haven't seen Part 2.
Yeah, you see Part 2. It's on Disney Plus right now. So.
Oh, cool. Well, that's good because all the other Marvel movies end up there anyway. So it's like, hey, I can catch up whenever. It's great.
Yep. Yeah, Ant-Man and Quantum Mania is coming up here shortly. If it's not already on Disney Plus, it's going to pretty soon.
Wakanda Forever's on there now.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to catch up, just click on the Marvel tab on Disney Plus because it'll take you through all the timelines, like which phase they're in or what. If you want to watch it in this order, watch it here. If you want to watch it in phase order, here's the phase order.
Yeah. Yeah, you can watch everything in chronological order. So like Captain America would be your first movie, and then yada yada yada. So, Dave Mattingly says.
May 17th for Ant-Man. Ant-Man 3: Quantumania. There you go.
Yeah.
May 17th. Wow, that's just a few weeks after. That's just a few weeks after May the 4th be with you. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of reasons to celebrate.
After, Guardians of the Galaxy coming out on Friday. So.
Lots of reasons to celebrate, isn't it?
Indeed, it is.
Mm-hmm. So they're on the plane, and he refuses to have a sake, but unfortunately, Rhodey gets roped into it. It's like, I'm just your babysitter. I know you don't respect me. You don't care what's going on. And it's like, I'm sorry, I would listen to you, but I'm kind of distracted. Can you believe that the pole just automatically materializes in the plane and just comes up, and the three flight attendants are just having a ball?
Yeah, the three flight attendants who are apparently also moonlight as dancers.
Yeah, apparently.
So they're all everybody's having a good time on the Stark flight here.
Jeez. We look forward to your demonstration. Mm-hmm. Good. Some great lines here. Is it better to be feared or respected? And I say, is it too much to ask for both? Oh, Dave Mattingly says the dancers are for first class only.
Apparently so. Well, the whole plane's first class. So
it is.
Good point, Dave.
Jeez. Thank you for chiming in, Dave Mattingly. Thank you for being here with us, my man. Always good to see Dave here in the chat.
Yes, it is.
Sure my goodness. I'm sure he's got some fun facts that he'll sprinkle throughout the presentation.
Yeah.
And it's worked out pretty well so far.
Mm-hmm.
Won't even want to come out of their caves. Man, the way he presents himself is so good. The swagger that RDJ has as this character is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he's doing effortlessly.
Well, it's kind of, there have been people, when Stan kind of originally created this character, he didn't initially make him out this way, but a lot of people have said he's almost kind of a reverse Batman, where he's another rich kid, a self-made vigilante, sort of thing like that, has a traumatic thing with his parents, but doesn't use that pain, just kind of just drowns it in lavishness and, alcohol, because Tony, in the comics is an alcoholic. So they don't deal with that in the MCU, in the movies, but they definitely deal that with the comics. So, yeah, there's just kind of like, just a fun little balance to it all. Just, that's what I really enjoy about it.
Oh, Dave Mattingly chimes in. He says, before the MCU took place, what's your favorite RDJ film? Well, for me, I've seen not a lot of RDJ's work. I've seen a few, but the one that stands out to me, because this was the first time I was introduced to Robert Downey Jr. as an actor, U.S. Marshals with Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah. That was the first time I was introduced to him.
Okay, that's
a good one, which I liked. I mean, he's not like the main character of the movie, but he does play a vital part in the movie.
He does, yeah.
So,
he's got a good part in it.
So he was good. I liked U.S. Marshals. If you haven't seen that movie, that was a spin-off / spiritual sequel to The Fugitive.
No, it was a sequel. Because he used to be Tommy Lee Jones' character. So, yeah.
Right. It had Sam Gerard, the character.
Mm-hmm. Well, his whole team, for the most part, the majority of his team was there with him. So from The Fugitive. So there's a few additions, including Robert Downey Jr. But for me, it's a two-way tie. Less Than Zero, which is one of his early, kind of mid-'80s film, but very good flick. Kind of, showing the downs and outs of rich kids in the 80s in Beverly Hills and stuff like that. And just, just the lives they lead and the kind of people they are. So it's a good character piece. But it worked well for him because it was basically at the height of his Brat Pack fame, and he was very well known for being a party kid. So there you go. The other one, a little more recent one, actually his film before Iron Man, is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer.
Oh, yes. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's great.
Fantastic movie.
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find? A picture of me. No, the definition of the word idiot, which you fracking are. So that's that's the only line I know from Chitty 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 Bang. What is it called? Kiss Bang. I keep thinking of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Dave Badley says my favorite RDJ performance is Hearts and Souls. I never heard of it. Never heard of Hearts and Souls. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't. Trying to remember what that is.
Yeah.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I have no idea. Sorry.
So we're in the cave now, and
your heart is hooked up to a car battery to keep that shrapnel from attacking your heart.
And see, this is all following, the origin of the comics. Basically, there's another scientist that's in there who's kind of, in the same boat that Tony's in. Where he's captured by a terrorist warlord, and he wants him to build weapons. And then this guy's like, the terrorist warlord's like, oh, hey, I got Tony Stark now. Let's get him. And that's right. Yeah, Hearts and Souls. He possesses imaginary.
Angels in Turn.
Oh
yeah, Dave Mattingly says in the movie Hearts and Souls, Robert Downey Jr. is actually haunted and possessed by 4 different imaginary friends and angels in turn. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's news to me. Like I said, I'm not familiar with it. So, but thank you for sharing that with us, Dave.
Yeah, I knew that sounded vaguely familiar, but it's like,
okay. I was not familiar with that. It's interesting. I'm learning all kinds of new things here.
Yeah, but what's the fun about this movie is that it's a miracle. This film was made because there was not a finished script by the time they started shooting. They were basically literally kind of making it up as they went along in certain parts.
Wow.
A lot of the actors kind of felt that. Jeff Bridges was really concerned about that initially, but then he's kind of like, okay, well, he just kind of just treated it as kind of like a really large budgeted student film. And so he just basically kind of took his dude vibes and just said, okay, let's just have fun with it, whatever. And so he kind of just let go and stopped worrying. But initially, he was very concerned that there was not a finished script, at the time that, they were going to, start shooting. The fact that basically, Marvel was trying to go independent, but they still had to have Paramount kind of piggyback with them on this. So there was a lot of pressure for this to work. There was a lot of money riding on it, a lot of everything.
It was a risk. It was a gamble.
Yeah, it really was. Everything about this was a gamble.
Everything about it. Yeah, you have a young actor turned director. I didn't know Jon Favreau could direct. I knew he could act because of Swingers. You're so money, you just don't even know it. Like a big bear, man. And then he shows up in, what was it, Ben Affleck's Daredevil as not as Foggy Nelson, excuse me, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with Daredevil. It didn't like wow me like some other comic movies did later on in that era, but it was fine for what it was. And then he shows up to direct this, and I'm thinking, you're going to direct a comic book movie? Wait, really?
This wasn't his first film. He had done some films prior to this, but it's none of them were there's nothing wrong with them. I think one of them was Zathura, which was kind of like the
that was fun.
Jumanji.
That was fun.
Yeah, so he directed that film.
That was a fun movie.
That was kind of his largest budgeted film before Iron Man.
Oh, there you go. Fun fact. I totally forgot who directed Zathura. I know of it because I've seen the movie. It starred very young up and coming actors, Kristen Stewart and Josh Hutcherson and Dax Shepard. But I didn't know I totally forgot it was directed by the man Favreau. Hey, nice work, John. Cutting your teeth there. Nice work.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what was it, Dave?
Oh, so I just think it's kind of where Favreau has kind of come from, and now where he's gone, because here he's kind of part of the building blocks of the MCU, and then now he's over, with Star Wars, and
He's everywhere.
He and Dave Filoni are basically the
Steering the ship
of Star Wars right now. So
yeah, they're steering the ship. And by the way, Dave Mattingly says Hearts and Souls is the movie that showed me that RDJ could act. Okay, that's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It's fair. No problem at all. Let's see here. Derpy Entertainment says, "You ever wonder if anyone actually stayed for that end credits sequence in theaters regarding Iron Man?"
That's a point I was going to get to a little bit later on. The first time I saw this movie, I did not. So I was told by a friend, and he's like, "Oh, hey, did you stick around for the credits afterwards?" Like, "Oh no, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, there was a scene after the credits." He's like, "I'm not going to tell you anything," because he knew I was going to go see it a second time. And so he's like, "Yeah, dude, stay for the whole credits." Like, okay, and then there you are. So yeah, the first time around, I did not. So there was a lot of people, I'm sure, who didn't. There was probably some who did. And they got the treat. But yeah, it was not widely known. Stay after a Marvel movie. Now people stay after every movie because they're taking all from that Marvel model now. So yeah.
Interesting stuff. I'm trying to think when the movie came out. I think we did stay for the end credits because someone said you might want to stay for something that happens afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay. And then our minds were blown, as with all 7 billion people on the planet's minds were blown. And also, Dave Mattingly says, in the flashback scene in the movie Iron Man 3, where Tony meets Aldrich Killian, he does briefly meet Dr. Jensen.
Yep.
Okay. There you go.
I watched Iron Man 3 the other day, and yeah, that is correct. Dr. Jensen's briefly in the scene. Yep.
Oh. And then Dave Mattingly says, I did stay for the after credits scene during the first Iron Man movie.
There you go. So
there you
Dave
go.
was one of the lucky ones. So.
Yes. We did mention that Derpy Entertainment. Dark Knight came out the same summer as Iron Man and The Incredible Hulk. So 3 great comic book movies in the span of that summer.
For me, I would say 2 great comic book movies, and then The Dark Knight being a cinematic classic. Because I'm a big Batman fan. I'm not a huge DC fan, but I'm a big Batman fan. And The Dark Knight is an achievement in film. Period. Not just in comic book movies or in Batman movies. No, it is an achievement in film. Period.
I can see where you're coming.
That's my viewpoint on it. I'm very passionate about my love for The Dark Knight.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We can talk more about that later this summer because it does, in fact, turn 15 years of age.
Oh my God.
I know. That's what happens with movies. They tend to age as the years go by. By the way, if you're just joining us, we are celebrating the 15th anniversary of Iron Man. So I'm Robert Downey Jr. We are at the 25-minute mark here in the movie if you're just joining us. So feel free to queue up your copy on a streaming service. It's streaming on Disney Plus or physical media. Queue up your copy. Watch the movie along with us. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any favorite memories, any thoughts, any fun facts, or questions you have, drop them in the comments. Leave them in the chat. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. We do greatly appreciate it. And Dave Mattingly goes on to say, unpopular opinion, Batman Begins is actually better than The Dark Knight. You're what, Dave?
Dave, that is an unpopular opinion.
Dave, let's think about this for a minute here, because over the years I've gone back and revisited the Dark Knight trilogy, right? And I come to realize, yes, The Dark Knight is a great film, no question. But for me, I do enjoy Batman Begins a little bit more so than Dark Knight. So for me, my favorite of the trilogy is Batman Begins. So I'm actually with you, Dave. I am with you on that.
I think why I love The Dark Knight so much is because it's the Joker's film.
Mm-hmm. It's a tour de force performance, too.
It really is, but I was not a fan of Jack Nicholson's performance in Batman '89. Nor was I a fan of the fact that they made Jack Napier the killer of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Creative liberties, yeah.
So I was ready for a proper Joker, and by the time that the comics kind of rolled around and the movie The Dark Knight comes out, the style of Heath's performance was very much for how the Joker was right then and there in the New 52 Batman, and kind of starting the Rebirth Batman. So for me, it was like, we have a proper Joker. He's not a goofy Cesar Romero. He's not a goofy Jack Nicholson trying to be Cesar Romero. This is the Joker. So
I get it. I completely get it. By the way, Dave Mattingly goes on to say the best Joker is actually voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yes, I would say the best Joker is definitely Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Amen to that, Dave.
I can get with that. I mean, his performance alone in Mask of the Phantasm, all the performances are Oscar worthy, in my opinion. I'm just saying. Which, by the way, now that I think about it, didn't that movie come out in '93? Mask of the Phantasm? Yeah, it did. So that means that movie turns 30. Oh my gosh! Looks like we're gonna have to throw another anniversary watch along here, Dave.
And that's a great Batman movie too. I mean,
dude, that's one of the best. That's one of the best animated movies. Period. Not just Batman movies. It's one of the best animated movies. Period.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So there you go. Fun fact: Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, which was only in theaters for 1 minute, turns 30 this year. So there you go. Fun fact.
I saw it in theaters.
By the way, you were one of the few lucky ones because the rest of us waited for it to show up on VHS. Because I didn't even know it was in theaters. I didn't even know. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Back then, anyway.
Run, but yeah.
It was a 2-minute run, but yeah. And what was it now? Derpy Entertainment says, I think looking back now, George, it's really known for Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, mostly because technically Bale's Batman is not about Batman at all. It's about Bruce and when he's in the costume and not good at it, I guess. I guess is what you're trying to say, Derpy Entertainment?
Well, there's a lot of people who are critical of how Batman was. You know, Bale's Batman was in the movie. And that you're dealing with a lot more Bruce than you are a Batman, which I think they had a good balance of Batman and Bruce there. But, you know, I mean, without a doubt, though, Dark Knight is definitely Ledger's movie. Even when he's not in the scene, he's in the movie. You know, that's still his movie. So
you want to know how I got these scars? Anyway, that's just creepy altogether. Dave says Phantasm came out the day after Christmas of 1993. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of that film. It's going to happen at some point. He says, I was happy to watch Return of the Caped Crusaders for its one-day special theatrical run. Oh, the animated movie. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That's cool.
That was a tribute to the original 60s show, yeah. I know what he's talking about. I believe that's on HBO Max along with all the other Batman stuff, isn't it? By the way, someone correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I know this is separating things from the Marvel Cinematic Universe for just another quick moment here. Does anyone know if Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf is on HBO Max? Because a lot of Scooby-Doo material is on there, but I don't know if Reluctant Werewolf is part of it.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, if someone can correct me in the chat, let me know. That's just a sidebar, Your Honor. Sidebar. But anyway, we are at the 30-minute mark here in the movie known as Iron Man. So there you go. And he's in the cave, but the people who are making him do all this are getting a little antsy. They're like, hey, you working on our project or are you just messing around? What are you doing?
Well, see, in this character here, Raza, who's supposed to be kind of the leader for this ragtag band of terrorists here.
The 10 rings, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Also, you see he's wearing, insignias that, indicate the 10 rings, which basically points to Mandarin. Originally, Mandarin was going to be the villain for this movie. And, of course, there was a lot of, concern about it because basically the Mandarin's a very dated villain because he was created in the 60s. So basically his depiction is not really, doesn't really click with society. It's not, I wouldn't say it's completely racist, but it's dancing on the landmine there. So he's changed a little bit over the years to kind of make it a little bit more even, and then they basically killed him off. We haven't seen him for a very long time. We've seen the rings, but we haven't seen the Mandarin himself in a very long time. So they were going to kind of retcon him a little bit, make him a different nationality, not Chinese. But then, they just ended up saying, it's just, the rings are too mystical and yada, yada, yada. So let's just go with Ironmonger instead. But they still make references to the 10 rings and references to the Mandarin all throughout the Iron Man franchise. Of course, we get to part 3 and we actually get a Mandarin somewhat.
Oh, I got you. Wow. Boy, there were all kinds of creative things they were trying to do behind the scenes that they either wanted to do, but they couldn't do it, or they wanted to do it, but they had to scrap it due to budgetary reasons or other creative reasons. Anyway, Dave Mattingly says, sadly, that movie you were talking about, The Reluctant Werewolf, is not available on HBO Max. Okay, hey, it's all good. It was a sidebar question. I was curious because I was at a place that sells used Blu-rays and DVDs earlier today, and I found one movie I wanted to upgrade from DVD to Blu-ray because it's weird. Here's a funny thing about formatting here, Dave. the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies are available on both Blu-ray and DVD. See, I have the 4-disc collection that has the original 3 live action and then the 2006 animated film, just called TMNT. 3 of the 4 films come available in widescreen or full screen format. Like on those discs, you have 2 of the 3, you have the option of watching them in widescreen or full screen format. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the original movie, the one that started it all in 1990, only comes in full screen. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't watch that on full screen. Are you crazy? So then I went to this place earlier today, and they had it. They had the trilogy, but when I looked in the case, guess what happened? Someone took the first 2 films and left the 3rd one in there.
Oh wow!
And I'm thinking to myself, how dare you? How dare you? But then they had a singular copy of the original film on Blu-ray, and I just went ahead and bought that. So which is the one I needed to upgrade anyway. So it was a blessing. It ended up working out for the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took care of that, folks. I did. I took care of it.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you here. We're getting close to a big scene here.
Yeah, sorry.
Of the first Iron Man suit in action.
Yeah, the Mark I. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, and I love too how, of course this looks like the suit that we first saw in the '60s in the comics. But then, of course, it went through multiple changes over the years. First, it was kind of that same suit, but it was gold. And then he started getting more of the more sleeker design, the red and gold here. But the whole planning, like he can't see out of this thing, has no peripheral vision or whatever else. So it's kind of like, okay, you got to make so many steps to this point, and so many steps to this point, and wherever else. So I love the way they plan things out there for this escape here. And just the little rough details, like you could see, a serial, number painted on part of his chest plate there. That's from the part this came from. If there's like an airplane or vehicle part or wherever else.
Yeah, people in the theater and we're in the scene here where Tony Stark is about to escape from this cave, and his captivity, if you will. Mm-hmm. The audience, we were getting ready. Like the audience, we were ready. Like when they started placing, when he puts on the suit and he says, "Hey, what are you doing? We have to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan." And Jensen has to create a diversion because you need more time because the suit is still in the process of powering itself up. Mm-hmm. We were like, "Oh man, we hope he makes it." Which we thought he was going to make it, but then when Tony gets ready to go, and then the lights turn off and the suit's powered up and he's ready to go, the audience is thinking to ourselves, what's going to happen? How is this going to work? And it just we just went nuts. Yep. So, and let's see here. Dave Mattingly says, I'm still happy with Trevor Slattery playing, I believe, Howard Stark in the future Iron Man movies.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Howard Stark has basically
he was good.
Was played by 3 different actors, but they landed on Trevor Slattery for like the last few times we saw Howard. But yeah, Howard's been a few different dudes.
Yeah, gosh, what's the young Howard Stark from Captain America? Dominic Cooper. That's it. Yeah, there it is. Yep. It was, by the way, comic book origin story. Was Howard Stark involved in creating Captain America? Originally? Or did they just add that to the movie because they wanted Captain America to connect to the MCU?
They added... Howard was probably involved with some of the planning of it. He may be involved somewhat with the shield design, but ultimately, no. That was basically Dr. Samuel Erskine. It was his formula. It was his formula that he brought over from Germany when he was escaping the Nazis. That basically it's kind of why the U.S. picked him up. So. Oh,
I see your point. By the way.
I'm sorry. No, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, see, Dave Mangley's comment says Trevor Slattery is the fake Mandarin. That's right. I'm sorry. That's Ben Kingsley's character. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now it's coming back to me. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. We all got the lines crossed. By the way, real quick, Derpy Entertainment says, personally, I'd like to see the actor known as Jensen Ackles as Bruce/Batman cast for a Brave and the Bold film. I just want to know who else they would cast.
That's a good question. Well, Jensen's done the role for Batman
animated
voice acting.
Did a great job too.
I don't know. It all depends on how old of a Batman they want to go for, because the Brave and the Bold movie is mostly going to be a platform for Damian. So Damien's going to be the more important casting, and I'm just curious with how old are they going to go for, first introducing Damien. We're going to make him like 13 years old or whatnot, then, maybe Jensen would be a good age for Batman. Or if they're going to make, Damien, say like 15, 16, something like that, maybe we might need Batman's a few years older. So.
Interesting. And by the way, Dave Mattingly goes on to say this first Iron Man suit looks like a mutant Volkswagen.
Yeah. It's not a pretty look. It's effective.
Wow. Well, he also goes on to say, Dave Mattingly says, Tony's superhero debut is 36 minutes into the film. Fairly good for an origin story.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is a movie that is that's the great thing about Marvel movies and TV. They're very economical with their writing. They make the best use of their time and tend not to waste it. Sometimes, not every movie, they're not all of them are great. But especially the really good movies, the good series, they make the best use of their time. And that's the case for Iron Man here. They really make good use of their time.
Yep.
We're getting to the point.
Yep. They don't wrestle around. They don't really beat around the bush. At least in some of the MCU films, they don't beat around the bush. Like in this one, they don't. They just go right into it. And Dave Mattingly, sidebar, he says, for the Scooby-Doo movies, I recommend the Batman, the Brave, and the Bold crossover movie. There was a Batman Brave and the Bold? I remember Scooby-Doo meets Batman as a television movie. I remember that one.
I know they did a Brave and the Bold series.
Did they?
Batman, but they may have. I know there's. Yeah, I know they've done some Batman Scooby movies. So
okay.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
Brave and Bold or not. Yeah.
Right. I remember watching Scooby-Doo meets Batman, the rerun, as a kid. That was kind of funny. Quickly, Robin, to the Mystery Machine.
But Derpy's Entertainment was also asking, who I would cast as Batman. Gosh, we'd have to think on that because there's so many young, up-and-coming actors that could play a potential Batman, but there's also some more seasoned and veteran actors that could play like a grizzled, older, retired Batman. Yeah, it just kind of all depends on how old they want to skew for, Batman for this movie. Because like I said, it's going to be mostly a vehicle for Damien. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's such a subjective conversation. It really is. I mean, it
really is.
I never would have thought Christian Bale would have been a decent Batman, and I thought he was. I mean, even Affleck was a surprise. I will say that I was the Keaton thing is fun for nostalgic purposes, but back then I was still like, even watching the movie going, no, he's a good Wayne, not a good Batman.
Wow.
So now.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, though, I loved the idea of Robert Pattinson cast as Batman. So I was looking forward to that because I'm like, okay, this is a guy who's proved himself to be a quality actor, and he could still do the brooding stuff and whatever else, but he could also play very charming. So depending on how much of Bruce they want to use, and then the answer was they didn't use Bruce very much at all. This was mostly a Batman movie, and we saw the detective side of it. So yeah, I was extremely happy with seeing Robert Pattinson in the role. So, I'm terrible when it comes to casting stuff. So,
we're not Hollywood casting agents, so
I'm more along the lines of like, give me a couple of choices, and then I'll make a choice from there.
So basically, it's like going to play a deck of cards. It's like, all right, give me some cards here. Let's see what we come up with, and let's see what cards work better than others. You know what I mean?
And Derpy's actually got an interesting answer.
Aaron. Okay, first of all, let me acknowledge Dave Mattingly here for a second. He says Scooby-Doo, Batman and the Brave and the Bold, that came out in 2018. Okay, so it's called Scooby-Doo and Batman, the Brave and the Bold from 2018. Okay, gotcha. All right, if you want to make a mental note of that, feel free. Derpy Entertainment says, I would love to see the actor known as Aaron Taylor Johnson as Batman. Listen to me. Aaron Taylor Johnson is a punk, okay? This guy has played very few, if any, good characters in his career. I don't care about the Kick-Ass movies. He did a good job. Not yet, but let me say this about Aaron, though. Aaron, I know you're watching this. You did a good job in that film known as Nocturnal Animals with Amy Adams, where you play like a creepy, weird guy. That worked. Okay, that was good for you. And then you also did a movie with, who was it, Taylor Kitsch, called Savages with Salma Hayek playing the antagonist, which, by the way, I'm not used to seeing Salma Hayek playing an antagonist in a movie, period. But she was vicious in that. But you were good in those two films, Aaron. You were good. but you are in no way, shape, or form qualified to play Kraven the Hunter, which apparently I didn't even know they were making a movie based off that character.
There's
And
a
the
lot
fact
talking
that
about it.
you're playing, I didn't even know about it until our good friend George the Fanatic here informed us about it on last week's show, known as Fanatic Forum, which you can find back at the cereal box. # always be promoting your friends, George. So, Aaron as Batman, I'm going to take a hard pass. Not happening.
Those are strong feelings there.
Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, he does play a lot of more villainous characters than he's played protagonists. Bullet Train, I love him in Bullet Train. He is very entertaining in Bullet Train.
Haven't seen it yet.
I don't hate him as the idea of Kraven the Hunter. I just hate the whole concept that Sony is basically doing Spider-Man villain movies
without Spider-Man. It's just silly
and then
to
you're
me.
trying to now make the villain somewhat of a protagonist because you have to have a protagonist in your movie to keep the audience interested.
It's just weird. And by the way, Dave Mattingly says Salma Hayek was actually a major antagonist in From Dusk Till Dawn. Well, here's the thing about that. I've seen the movie. I know exactly what you're talking about, and she was good in it, but she's not. She's an antagonist, yes, but she's not like the center of it, like she was in Savages. Savages, she had more room to dig into her character as the antagonist. In from, you know what I mean? Like in From Dusk Till Dawn, she shows up as an exotic dancer, and then she reveals herself to be a vampiress.
Yeah, vampire, yeah.
Thank you. And she says, hey, and then you know what she says, right? She says, welcome to hell. No, thank you. I already had a wife. George Clooney says that to her, pulls a bullet in the chandelier, and then the chandelier comes down the tubes, right, George? And then kills Salma Hayek right then and there. So, which, by the way, From Dusk Till Dawn is a weird but fun movie.
Oh, love that movie. That's
you like that movie?
Oh, that's my jam all day.
Okay, well,
because I love exploitation, low budget movies. So,
it's good.
And that's coming from basically the minds of Tarantino and Rodriguez, which, I mean, those guys are my homeboys when it comes to this kind of, genre cinema. So, yeah, love that stuff here.
It was fun. I enjoyed watching From Dusk Till Dawn. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Didn't they make not one but two direct-to-video sequels?
Yes, that is correct. There is a trilogy for Dusk Till Dawn.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
Yes, I've seen them all.
Are they any good? Because Robert Patrick is in the second one.
The second one is almost a remake of the first one, except it's a bank job, and it's interesting. It's not the third one's the worst.
Okay.
Because they try to basically do like a prequel on Salma Hayek's character, like how she got to be the head of the vampires.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't work. But the second movie is actually not bad. The first is still the best, but the second one's not bad.
Interesting.
Let's see. I can't remember if it's this press conference or the second press conference at the end, but there's basically we'll see the actor here in a little bit. There's an interesting connection with one of the press people that asked a question here.
Well, we know that Clark Gregg's character, Agent Coulson, shows up.
Here, hang on.
Give him a moment there.
So that guy there just asked me what happened over there. You know who that is?
No.
That is the father of music superstar Billie Eilish.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's Billie Eilish. Eilish's dad. No kidding.
Yeah, he's an actor.
He is an actor. Wow.
Both. I think both their parents were like actors and whatnot. But yeah, that's Billy and Phineas's dad.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
She's the one who sang the most recent intro song for the James Bond movie No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish did that, by the way. Which that was a good song for No Time to Die. I thought it worked very effectively.
It did, yeah.
In my opinion, I think it's one of the better Bond themes. So, by the way, Derpy Entertainment chimes in here, if I'm saying that right. Derpy Entertainment says, I mean, whoever it is, I have faith in James Gunn, nor was it more so than ever did in Zack Snyder. I get that. Because what he did with the Suicide Squad movie, which is the Suicide Squad Part 2, I loved it, but sorry to bring the stream off topic. I just wanted to know your thoughts, George. Okay, well, Derpy, you got his thoughts, so there you go.
Yeah, I agree, though. Yeah, Gunn's done a tremendous job with 2 projects so far, so I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do with the rest of DCU. I love, of course, like I said, we're in the building blocks here of the MCU, but we get a fun little Easter egg here in a little bit because actually no, it's not this scene; it's the later scene here. We got one of the scientists that's working on the arc reactor.
But I think Obadiah, and by the way, for those who just joined us, this is the 15th anniversary celebration of Iron Man. We are 47 minutes and 20 seconds into the movie. If you're just joining us, feel free to queue up your copy on your physical media or streaming service. Let us know your feelings and your thoughts about it in the comments or the chat. If you're watching this live on the replay, thank you for being with us, and don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. Obadiah Staines, he says, Tony, we're not warmongers or ironmongers. I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that your villain name? Is it Warmonger or Ironmonger? Which one is it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just trying to get into that. And then Dave Mattingly says, to cast a younger version of Batman, I could see Jack Quaid doing a good job. I'm not sure who Jack Quaid is.
Interesting.
Not really sure who that is. I apologize. Any relation to the Randys and the Dennis Quaids of Hollywood? I have no idea.
That's a great question.
Does anyone know that? I'm not sure. And then Dave Mattingly says, tying Derby's comment back to what he said earlier in an earlier thread, James Gunn's directed both live-action Scooby-Doo films. Wait a minute, he directed both the live actions with Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle gellar. Is that true?
Really? I don't know that. Huh.
He directed both of those? Is that what you're getting at, Dave? Confirm for us in the chat, because I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Gee, he directed both Scooby-Doo movies? Huh. I saw the first one.
I'm not a huge Scooby-Doo. I mean, I enjoy Scooby-Doo, but I didn't go out of my way. So I honestly haven't seen either film. So.
I was not aware of that.
We get a Mad Money sighting in here. Of course, this actually was a show that existed.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this dude's doing sound effects, throwing things, and screaming, and talking about finances.
I got one thing to say: sell, sell, sell. I'm so sorry. What was his name again? Was it John Kramer or the Mad Money host? I am so sorry. Oh, Dave Mattingly says, correction, he wrote both live-action Scooby-Doo movies. He did not, in fact, direct them. Okay. But James Gunn wrote those?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he loves his humor. So James Gunn is no stranger to using humor in his films. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If he wrote the Scooby-Doo movies, which, by the way, the live-action ones, not the animated ones, cool. That's cool that he did that. So he already had a pre-established relationship with Warner Brothers before he took over the DCU. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's
pre-established.
For Warner.
Okay. Any other Warner Brothers films that you can think of off the top of your head? I don't know. I can't think of any.
Yeah, I could.
If anyone else has a thought on that, let us know.
Unless Slither was.
Was that Lionsgate?
Yeah.
Was it Lionsgate or was it Dimension Films? Was it Lionsgate?
Think Dimension? I don't know.
Because the Scream movies were distributed from Dimension. Or no. Well, they were Dimension, but they were also distributed through Miramax. Miramax? Yeah.
Yeah, Miramax, yeah.
Yeah, Miramax was Scream. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I love this, too. Like, this is practical makeup right here. This is a prosthetic that she's about ready to reach her hand into.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like Tony said, this is just a prosthetic chest that RDJ's got his neck sticking out of.
Wow. So Dave Mattingly corrects us. He says Jack Quaid's parents are Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Oh, he plays Huey. That's right.
He plays Huey in the Boys series. Oh, my gosh. Jack Quaid's parents is Dennis and Meg Ryan? I didn't know Dennis Quaid had a previous relationship with Meg Ryan.
Oh, they've been married for years.
You mean, are they still currently, or are they divorced?
I think they're divorced now.
Divorced?
But they were together for a long period of time.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm learning all kinds of things.
They were one of those like famous couples in like the late 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Because they were both kind of like both their careers were high
on the rise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dennis had been established and Meg she was kind of up and coming. It was before Sleepless in Seattle that they were together. So, and matter of fact, when they were married, they did a movie together called DOA, which is a remake. Old noir movie, but they were actually doing a movie together.
Goodness gracious! You know what, George? This watch along is going so swimmingly that we're learning so many fun facts. I'm loving this. I'm seriously loving this. And by the way, Derby Entertainment chimes in. He says, how about this fella James Gunn wrote the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, but Snyder actually ended up directing it.
That is true.
I didn't know that James Gunn wrote that.
Sure did, yep.
Dawn of the Dead, that was from 2004? I have yet to see that version of the movie.
Yeah, the remake was from 2004.
I haven't seen it. Is it any good?
It's definitely inferior to the original, but it's not terrible as far as remakes go. Because there's a lot of horror remakes that are just worthless. I would not classify the Dawn of the Dead remake as worthless. It's all the social commentary that was involved in the 78 original is lost. It's basically just a bunch of a-holes in the mall running from fast-moving zombies. So it's a good zombie film, but as a Romero film, it's weak. So, interestingly enough, we haven't talked about this factoid about the movie. Before Jon Favreau was hired to direct the film, we went through 4 directors being attached to Iron Man at some point. At one point, we had Quentin Tarantino was going to be attached to direct an Iron Man movie. Trying to think who the second one after him was. There's another big one, and then Nick Cassavetes was basically all but he was going to direct this film, and then something fell through at the last possible minute, and they're like, "Oh my God, we need a director, Jon Favreau." And then there you go. So like basically they were going into production in April of like 2007 or 2006. They were starting to go into production 2006 in April, and they had like less than a month to find another director to replace Nick Cassavetes.
And Dave, what is it?
Joss Whedon, yes.
Yeah, Joss Whedon was in contention to direct Iron Man. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you, Dave. Yes.
Wow. All kinds of stuff here. And Derby Entertainment says, I like the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead for what it was at the time. Okay.
Yeah, like I say, it was a good zombie film. But like I said, as a proper remake of a Romero classic, it was weak sauce. But there have been other Romero remakes or pseudo sequels that have been much worse. So, yeah, there was a direct-to-video Day of the Dead sequel that's got Ving Rhames and Mira. The girl from American Beauty. I can't remember. Anyway, it's horrible. Yeah. So there's a lot of like terrible Romero inspired stuff. But like I said, if you want actually a really good Romero remake, the remake of The Crazies that they did a few years later.
Yeah, I saw that with Timothy Oliphant and I believe Rhoda Mitchell and Daniel Panabaker was in it. Dude, that movie is messed up, but it's so good. But the problem I had with that film, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling something that's a almost 15-year-old film, I don't like the fact that they killed off my girl Danielle. I don't like that.
Oh.
They killed her. Did you remember that scene? They killed her off in the car wash. The zombies got to her or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, why, dude? Why?
Technically, everybody dies in The Crazies because they launch a nuke to basically erase the town.
Oh, is that what happens at the end of the movie?
Yeah, that was the end of the movie. Everybody dies.
Oh, so I guess everybody dies. Okay, well then never mind then. But still, it ticks me off that they killed off my girl Danielle Panabaker. I don't like it when people do that. But anyway, let's see here. Dave Mattingly says Meg Ryan was wife number 2 for Dennis Quaid from 1991 to 2001. He's on wife number 4 right now for Dennis Quaid. Wow. 4 wives. Wow.
That's Hollywood, you know.
That's Hollywood. And let's see. Dave Mattingly says, so Marvel decided to let Foggy Nelson direct Iron Man. Yes, they did.
Yeah, and of course we have our scenes here of Tony tinkering, building the first, I guess the Mark II suit, so to speak. But his the crane arm here, that's basically for his assistant here in the garage. That's an old standby friend. That's throughout. Basically, followed us through Iron Man movies, Avengers movies, and even in the Spider-Man movies when we don't even have a Tony Stark. We still have that crane. I love this part. The first flight test.
Ooh.
Right in the wall. Oh.
Goodness gracious.
Oh. And I love that old jukebox he's got in the corner there. He just had a brief shot of it there. And speaking of brief shots here, I think we'll get, I can't remember if we've already seen it or it's coming up, but there's a important piece of Marvel history that's holding up a shelf, I think. We'll see here in the workshop.
Oh, yeah. I see. One second.
And now we are doing our first repulsor test here, it looks like, or about to. Oh, that doesn't go well. He goes flying again. There's a little fun piece here. So the piece that Obadiah Stane is playing was written by Salieri, who was basically depicted in the movie Amadeus, was a rival to Mozart and was accused of basically killing him. Of course, that was kind of blown out of proportion. They actually collaborated on a lot of stuff, but it's kind of like a nice little thing. And basically, somebody who served under the genius, so to speak, has basically got designs against them. So nice little parallel they do there. See, and Dave Mattingly's picked up on that as well here. Of course, now we're discussing the possible future direction of Stark Industries to get away from weapons and be a little more quote-unquote responsible. But Obadiah is giving him a little bit of grief because, hey, they made a lot of money off making weapons. He's taking it there. Of course, Jon Favreau must really love Ray's Pizza because that's where this pizza comes from. And it's not the first time in a Jon Favreau movie he's made a Ray's Pizza reference.
Oh, no kidding.
Does our viewing audience know what the other film that Jon Favreau has made where he makes a Ray's Pizza reference? It's a well-known film that Jon Favreau has directed. Oh, there we go. Better flight test.
Oh, yeah, yes, indeed.
Dave Mattingly pointed this out here, but I was talking about this. The piece that Obadiah Stane is playing on the piano was written by Salieri, and of course Salieri was a collaborator and rival of Amadeus Mozart, and so when they did the film Amadeus, and they've got basically depicting Salieri as more his rival and possibly the guy who was responsible for murdering Mozart or responsible for his death and whatever else. So a nice parallel of them, of Obadiah playing a Salieri piece.
Oh, okay, yeah, because earlier on he says playing some Salieri, and then was it Elf? Was that the?
That is correct, Dave Mattingly for the win.
And he also goes on to say they didn't fly RDJ by strapping his chest. They that way most special effects do it. They strapped his feet, which is why he struggles to balance himself. Oh, I see.
That's cool. Yeah. So him balancing himself is still natural, but he's not actually flying. He's just lifting him awkwardly.
Yeah. And for those of you just joining us, we are celebrating the 15th anniversary of the MCU origin story known as Iron Man, starring Robert Downey Jr. and company. We are at the hour and 1 minute mark. So if you're just joining us and want to queue up your copy, please go ahead and do so on a physical media or a streaming service. Feel free to share your thoughts, your feelings, positive, negative, or otherwise, in the comments or the chat. And whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. And don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends.
And for this Iron Man suit here, which of course later becomes the Mark II, 82 separate pieces.
Oh my goodness.
82 pieces
Oof.
Put together the suit.
Yep. That's a lot of pieces.
That is a lot of pieces. That's a lot of metal.
That's true. Yes.
I love like this kind of just spec run through here. The suit's doing, flexing all his little ports and all that kind of jazz here.
And the score for this movie was good too. It played to the vibe of the film.
Yeah, it did.
And like we're getting ready to go up, up and away. You know, we're getting ready to fly, getting ready to rock this thing. So, and by the way, Jarvis being voiced by Paul Bettany, man, really good voice work.
Yeah, and Dave Mattingly brings up a good point, saying that he got the most boring part because he just gets to do the voiceover. But he also got the easiest paycheck of anyone in the film because Paul Bettany's contribution, doing all the voice work for Jarvis, took a mere 2 hours to record.
Wow.
He was done in 2 hours. Did his stuff. They didn't need anything else. Gave his check. You're good to go, buddy. See you later. Didn't think it was gonna be anything more than this. And then of course, he gets plays the voiceover a couple more times, and then we get the vision for Avengers 2. So a lovely thing how that all works out. And they kept using him, and then of course. The fun thing is that I think, not for Friday, but I think one of Spider-Man's AIs or somebody's AI at one point was played by Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, that was Karen, I think, or well, I don't know if it was Karen in the movie, but yeah, she was the voice of the AI for Peter Parker in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Homecoming. Yeah.
But was the character name? Was it Karen? Was it Karen? I can't remember the voice. But anyway, that was Jennifer Connelly. And I'm like, hey, there's another bit of a Marvel connection because she previously starred as Betty Ross in the film that shall not be named, known as Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah, Dave Mattingly said, yes, that was Karen, yeah.
It was Jennifer Connelly, and she played the character, or voiced the character, I should say, of Karen. And by the way, Dave Mattingly says, Paul Bettany says that he got this part by having the most boring voice. I don't think his voice is boring, to be honest. I don't think it's boring at all.
It's just a good British, proper, But that was kind of a fun thing too, because basically, Jarvis in the comics was Tony Stark's butler and became the butler for the Avengers, and basically buttled around Avengers Mansion, and he was a proper British butler, a very kind of like an Alfred Pennyworth sort of guy. But yeah, so that's kind of who his character was. So that's kind of like it was a nice callback to that, getting the proper British voice there. So it's like you still felt he was like an old school butler,
He did a good job, too.
They did, yeah. But it was a nice connection having Jennifer Connelly playing an AI because, of course, she and Paul Bettany are married and have been for a number of years. So they have kids together and all kind of good
more
stuff.
More connections being made. And he falls through the roof of his own house.
Yeah. Hey, there's his buddy there with the extinguisher.
Fire safety. Hey, if you keep moving like that, I'm going to donate you to a city college.
I love that mechanical arm, though. That is absolutely the best.
But that was, man, seeing that in theaters, him wearing the suit or his test suit for the first time and flying like. And by the way, some people said that shot of him flying over the Ferris wheel or nearby the Ferris wheel was a tribute to Joe Johnston's movie, The Rocketeer.
Oh, okay.
Because The Rocketeer does a similar flyby or flyover shot of the people in the crowd at the air show.
That's right, he does, yeah.
Yeah, and The Rocketeer.
It's been a number of years since I've seen The Rocketeer. That's such a good film.
Well, it is streaming on your friendly neighborhood Disney Plus. # not sponsor.
Sure
if you want to go over there and watch it there, Dave. Or George. Jeez. My mind is... I'm drawing a blank. I'm so sorry. But
Yeah,
George, if you want to watch it, go right ahead in Disney Plus. I'm sorry. My bad.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
I should probably keep watching this movie, though.
Yeah, after the tomorrow you can watch it. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay. Which, by the way, The Rocketeer also featured the very beautiful and talented Jennifer Connelly. Yes, she was the love interest. And that was Jennifer Connelly, like peak Jennifer Connelly. Like that was prime.
Dude, she's in Maverick. She's still a smoke show, man.
Which I didn't know that the character she was playing in Maverick was the same character they referenced in the first Top Gun, Penny Benjamin. And you, blank, you're lucky to be here. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was a really cool Easter egg. Basically, like a character who was only mentioned in the original
twice, 2 or 3 times in the movie.
Yeah.
The very first movie, 35 plus years ago, he's like, over 5 high-speed passes, over 5 air-controlled towers, and 1 admiral's daughter, Penny Benjamin. And you're lucky to be here. Thank you, sir. Wasn't that guy so good? James Tolkien in that. Oh, gosh, he was so good in that.
Yeah.
He was so good in that. By the way, everybody was good in that movie, but like he especially, like calling Maverick out on his BS was so good.
Well, he was of course, we know him from the Back to the Future movies too.
You're a slacker. That's right.
Yeah, he's just
Mr. Strickland.
He was just great in those authoritarian roles. Just kind of like early Ermey. You can't picture that guy not playing a drill sergeant because he was a drill sergeant. His normal cadence of speech is that way. So you can't not picture that guy not being a drill sergeant. So
yeah. And also, I mean, R. Lee Ermey went on to voice the the Green Soldiers in the Toy Story franchise.
Yep, sure did.
Did you notice that? That was like a nod to his days as a
you can't not recognize that dude's voice. Yeah,
commanding officer. Yeah. Do me a favor. Don't wait up for me, honey. So apparently, Tony Stark is going to a fundraiser that didn't even know was going on until he saw it on the television set. By the way, Stark 4. Wonder how many. Well, in his garage, he had like what, 5 or 6, maybe 7 cars there. I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wonder how many cars he actually has. That's a nice looking car, though.
Or maybe this is the 4th version of that car.
Is this the 4th version of that car? Maybe.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You don't know. The other ones maybe something happened to them.
Look at him showing up in that suit, looking sharp, Tony. Hey. Stan Lee, even though he looks like the other guy.
Yeah, well, that's a great joke there. So
yeah, you look good there, buddy. Hey, look at you! What a surprise! I'll see you inside. By the way, is your executive assistant fiddling around back there?
She is
somewhere. Because I saw her.
I figured my executive assistant Pepper Potts. Cat to the stars. She is not present. She's
must be doing something
else.
Must have had one too many scotches.
I guess so.
Sleeping it off, I'm just saying.
Avoiding Coulson also apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a lot of
I love to see
questions.
Clark Gregg. Like no one originally he was just cast as agent. He wasn't even given a name. But
really?
His chemistry with everybody on set was so good, they decided to expand his role, and then basically they gave him a name, and there you go.
Maybe she had too many ... goops? Question mark? Maybe? Dave Mattingly? I don't know. Maybe she did. Who knows?
Oops, sorry.
I was going to say, is Pepper Potts trying to talk to me back there?
No, my phone suddenly
it's being weirdy.
It paused and then it has to do it again.
That's strange, isn't it? I don't know. Stop being so silly, technology. Was that... Did Gwyneth Paltrow change her hair color for this movie, or is that a wig?
Yeah, that's a really good question there.
Anybody else know about the wardrobe or the way Pepper Potts looks? Was that a wig, or is that her actual hair? Curious.
I've got a feeling this is probably a wig.
It's a wig.
If I were a betting man, I'd say it's a wig.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, if it is, that's fine. Many actors and actresses have done that in previous movies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they do it all the time.
Her hair color's naturally, she's a blonde anyway.
She's a blonde, yeah. Mm-hmm. She is a blonde. It's a nice dress, too. That's the dress that she bought with the birthday money that Howard Stark passed on to her.
Mm-hmm.
Totally harmless, and in no way, shape, or form, by the way. Oh, goodness gracious. I think I've lost all objectivity. It was just a dance. You just don't understand how people dance all the time. By the way, Dave Mattingly says, most likely it's a wig for the character of Pepper Potts. Otherwise, the hair length changes between takes over the course of a month or two of film time. Okay.
There you go.
There you go. It's a wig. Thank you very much, Dave. It is a wig. Lots of actors do that. They do it all the time. I'm trying to think. Who... Well, we know that Jeff Bridges shaved his head for the role.
Right.
And Gwyneth Paltrow was wearing a wig for her role.
Well, because Jeff always wanted to shave his head for
he did,
role anyway,
yeah.
So.
I didn't know that about him, but that's cool that he wanted to do that. And we all know that, Obadiah Stane is an actual character within the Iron Man comics. So.
Yep, sure
So,
is.
There you go.
But
Works.
he's also a lot older than as Jeff Bridges is depicted anyway. Obadiah Stane's an old man in the comics.
Oh, okay. Is he older than Vulture? The Vulture
no,
character?
probably. I'd say they were around the same age, but yeah, he's, basically a lot of the other industrialists that they've depicted, throughout some of the other Iron Man movies, aside from Stain, basically have been, like Justin Hammer is a lot older in the comics than, can't remember who plays him. Anyway, but so all these other industrialists that Tony has run across that have been rivals in some way, shape, or form, in the comics, they're all like at least 10 to 15 years older than Tony is, because Tony's the young guy. He's the young visionary, and basically, Stan Lee modeled him after Howard Hughes. So
there you go. Makes a lot of sense. By the way, Dave Manley says it was Sam Rockwell.
Thank you, Sam Rockwell. Yes,
because he plays the character in the sequel that shall not be named, Iron Man 2. Okay. That was not...
Iron Man 2 is not perfect, but it has its place.
It's one of the worst MCU movies, in my opinion. But that's okay. That's okay. Not every MCU movie is meant to be perfect. That's why, for me, like if you were... I mean, we can do this at the end of the show, but I can go ahead and share this with you. And by the way, for those of you just joining us, we are celebrating the 15th anniversary of Iron Man. We are an hour and 13 minutes in to the film. If you were just joining us, feel free to queue up your copy on a physical media or a streaming service. Let us know your thoughts, positive, negative, or otherwise, in the comments section or in the chat. Whether you're watching this live or on a replay, we thank you so much for being with us. And don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends who happen to be Marvel fans, because Iron Man is 15 years young. It's incredible. By the way, MCU phase was phase 1. Iron Man 2 was at bottom of the list. And then First Avenger is above that. Right? Because there were 6 films altogether in phase 1. Because Avengers is the 6th one. So for me, it's Iron Man 2 at the bottom, right? First Avenger is above that. So was it 6? That's 5, right?
I would not agree with that.
This is what hot takes are made for, my friend. These are what hot takes are made for.
I'm a Captain America fan, and so I would place the first Captain America film higher on that list.
That's okay. Listen. There's no right or wrong way to answer the question here, George. No problem at all. So what comes after that? I'm trying to think. Thor. Yeah, Thor.
Yeah, Thor's not great.
Thor's after that, and then it's, since I rewatch. We're rewatching Iron Man. We're in the process of rewatching Iron Man right now here on this special presentation, but I also rewatched it before this. Iron Man would probably be my number. Avengers is number 1. Iron Man's probably my number 2, and then Incredible Hulk is my number 3.
Okay.
So it's kind of like doing it in somewhat reverse order, but yeah, that's how I would rank the first 6 movies of. Let's just put it this way: MCU Phase 1, my top 3 are Avengers, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk. Those are the 3 best. And then after that is like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man 2. I know, hot takes, but if anyone has any thoughts on it, let us know in the comments. By the way, Dave Mattingly has a ranking for you here, George. Dave Mattingly says number 1 is Avengers, number 2 is Iron Man, number 3 is The Incredible Hulk. Hey, you and I have some commonalities here, Dave. You and I should be besties. Number 4 is Captain America, the first Avenger. Number 5 for him is the first Thor movie. Number 6 is Iron Man 2.
Now, see, I would flip-flop Hulk and Captain America. I would put Cap as number 3 and Hulk as 4.
Understandable. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dave. Appreciate that, my man. You and I have the same top 3 rankings. I'm impressed. It's good stuff.
And now Tony's he's a little mad because terrorists are using Stark Industries weapons.
In Golmira.
Which that is basically a theme that is throughout the Iron Man comics, where some of Tony's worst fears are having basically villains, terrorists, whatever else with Stark weapons. So the upcoming Armor Wars. Well, I guess it was supposed to be a series. Now it's going to be a film. That's one of the huge themes in there. Basically, you've got people that should not have Stark Industries weaponry now do after Tony's death. And then basically, also with Stark Industries being raided by the U.S. government in the last Spider-Man film. So,
and then Dave Manley goes on to say, "I strive to be like you in all ways, Ryan." Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man. Because you and I have the same top 3 rankings of the MCU Phase 1. I like it a lot.
Like I said, I'm a Captain America mark, so that's why he gets number 3 for me.
It's all good, man.
The
It's all good.
That Hulk's a good film, and honestly, if you want to talk about Marvel movies that should not be talked about, is the Eric Bana Hulk movie.
But yeah, The Incredible Hulk starring Ed Norton and company is definitely an underrated kind of comic book movie, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very underrated.
Yeah.
Never gets enough love that it should, because it tells the origin story in 2.5 minutes in the credits. You know what I mean? Like the opening credits sequence basically shows you what has happened to this guy who is trying to find a cure for himself.
Yeah.
It's an amazing way to start a movie. Like they kind of, I mean, they did the origin story with Tony Stark in 36 minutes here, but at the same time, like they did it really well with the Incredible Hulk. So.
Well, they had more story to tell than just we'd seen Hulk's origin before.
Yeah, with Ang Lee. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With Ang Lee with the '70s TV show.
Oh, so with Bill Bixby. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was enough Hulk out in the world that we knew what happened to him.
Yeah, and they did it in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, kind of like Superman's origin, Spider-Man's origin, whatever else. The Hulk's is a familiar origin.
That's very true. And I look forward to sitting down and watching The Incredible Hulk, the complete first season starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, here we go. First time we're going to see the red and gold in action here.
Yep. Already took out some of the guards with some bullets or darts, whatever those were. I'm not really sure. And by the way, Dave Mattingly goes on to say, for Marvel, the Hulk's origin is used a lot of the Bixby tropes.
Yep, sure did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically, the open. Basically, if you look at the open for the Incredible Hulk film,
yeah, it's the same.
How that all happens.
The gamma radiation. Yeah. Yeah,
basically, and then watch the open for the '70s series. Very similar.
Oh, okay. I'll have to take a look at that though, George. Thank you. Look forward to that, by the way. Boy, when he debuts in this suit and he's just going to town, he's like, "You got my weapons? Well, you're not going to have them anymore." I mean, he is just, he's going to town. Mm-hmm. Look at this. He gets fired at by a giant tank, and all he has to do is open up his wrist, pop out one, walk away. Explosion happens. He's a boss. So there you go.
And then lets the people.
Yep. Takes out some more of the weapons. Takes out some more of the guards.
Oh, gets hit by a tank. Knocked off course a little bit here.
Oh, my goodness. What is that? Oh, Edwards Air Force Base in California. Oh. Hey, who's this?
Assistant. This is Pepper. Say hi, Pepper. She doesn't look like Gwyneth Paltrow, but she's named after her. But yeah, this is my executive assistant here. So I knew she'd make an appearance sooner or later. She just came by.
There she is.
That's my boss here.
Good to see you. That'll be all, Miss Potts. Good to see you.
No, she said that'll be all for her.
Yeah, she's like, I'm done. I got better things to do, like go through your comic book collection.
Yeah, well, she does read. She the other day I had a book sitting out I was reading. I walked away from it. I came back and she was somewhat laying on it. Looked like she was reading it. So took a picture, posted on social media. So
nice. Yeah. That is boss, man. Yeah. Well, thank you for introducing us to your furry friend there, your fur baby, the kitty cat known as Pepper Potts. It's very nice.
That's one of the three. So we've got Iris West Allen, and then she's properly named because she is a bit of a flash herself. So
okay,
yeah, she's a speedster, and then we have Carol Ann. So
yeah. Well,
Which
we know our good friend of Back of the Cereal Box, Andrea Starnes, would be very happy with you on those names.
Oh yeah, she's met a couple of the girls when she's been on the Fanatic Forum. So
aww,
so
isn't that special?
Yes, apparently the girls know when they have the kitties. Or the kitties know when I have ladies on the show and they want to say hi to the ladies. So,
by the way, Dave Mattingly chimes in. He says, "You will believe an Iron Man can fly."
Oh, see, he's mishmashing a little bit there because the '78 Superman, its tagline was "You will believe a man can fly." So, nice, well done, Dave. Well done.
Nice little mashup there, Dave Mattingly.
Yeah, because I tell you what, the marketing for the '78 Superman was minimal and beautiful. Kind of very similar to the Batman '89 marketing. Like the poster for Batman '89 was a black background with the bat symbol on it, and that was it. So until the movie was released, we didn't get a character poster until after the movie came out. But that poster for months was, the black background with the bat symbol on it. And then Superman's was basically like a picture of like clouds, and then the Superman symbol kind of coming out from them, but they had like the red and blue trails behind it too, kind of like how they did in the credits for it.
Really?
So yeah, it's very, very minimalistic. But then the tagline for Superman was "You will believe a man can fly." Because that was the big thing that the special effects are going to be really big for this movie because they wanted him to look good. They didn't want to be like the old George Reeves Superman stuff. They wanted Christopher Reeve to fly, man. So.
Can't say that I blame them. They did it, I rewatched the 78 Superman not too long ago.
Yeah.
I have more respect for it now than when I did when I was a kid. So
yeah, it's definitely strangely enough, it being one kind of the oldest large budget superhero movies that we kind of know today, it's the one that holds up the most, I think. If you put up some of its other peers or whatnot, it's like it still holds up really well. To me, it's still the best Superman film, period. With respect to Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill, it's the best Superman film, period.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And Dave Manley actually chimes in. He says the most recognizable symbols worldwide are number 1, the Christian cross, number 2, the Jewish star, and number 3, the Superman S.
Yep.
By the way, Dave, it's not an S. On my world, it means hope. All right. Quoting my favorite Superman movie. I know that's a hot take, but it's my favorite. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway.
Well, I mean, for your age range, though, we have a bit of
different generations.
Yeah. So that is your Superman. Christopher Reeve is my Superman.
It's all good.
People before me, they're like, well, that Christopher Reeve guy was nice, but George
Reeves
was Superman. Yeah.
Or, some people remember watching the original cartoon, whether it's the old school, the Fleischer cartoons or... Well, here's the thing. There was the Fleischer cartoons, and then there was the Super Friends, and then there was the Challenge of the Super Friends, which was a big deal for its time.
Well, Filmation also, you had New Adventures of Superman, which was a Filmation cartoon that was between the Fleischer and before Super Friends. So.
And wasn't that the one that started with the iconic intro? Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
The Fleischer one did that too.
Yeah, but the one that came after that, that's a really cool intro, man.
Yeah.
Like it's of its time, but like it works so effectively. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. And by the way, Dave Manley goes on to say, I say that the film Superman 2 is actually better than Superman 1, which, by the way, to a certain extent, I agree with you. But here's the weird thing about me. When it comes to, there are multiple cuts of Superman 2. There are multiple cuts. So it's hard to say which is the better of the three, because there was a TV version, there was the Richard Donner cut that he originally wanted to do, but unfortunately he was let go halfway through shooting. And then there was the Richard Lester, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Richard Lester's cut of the film. And I went back and I watched the Donner cut, and then I also watched the Richard Lester. And I got to tell you, I think I like the Richard Lester cut a little bit more so than the Donner cut, because the biggest difference for me, I can't speak for everybody, okay? This is just strictly subjective. When he says, "General, would you care to step outside?" You say that in the Lester cut, but in the Donner cut, he says, "Excuse me, General, haven't you ever heard of freedom of the press?" I'm like, what? What? That's not how you threaten Zod. Come on, man. Where's you got to step outside? But he says it in the Richard Lester cut, but not so much the Richard Donner cut. And I'm like, why would you change that? That's so weird to me.
It's been a while since I've seen the Donner cut. I've only seen that once or twice, but I seem to remember that I liked some of Donner's ideas because, I mean, if he had not been fired, it would be hard to differentiate Superman 1 from 2 because basically they would have been shot almost back to back.
Yeah,
that was the plan initially, but
originally
they ran out of money, and so let's put together one movie and release it and see how it goes before we finish the second one. And then there were production problems between the movies that caused Donner to get fired. But they had shot more than half of Superman 2 with Richard Donner before he got fired.
Yeah, I'm just glad that the director's cut was actually eventually released for the public to see for Richard Donner.
Yes.
Very happy that it was. And by the way, if you go and buy you can get multiple cuts of both Superman 1, Superman 2 on certain Blu-ray sets, but the cuts that I have are the Superman Batman 9 film collection, which includes the Christopher Reeve and the Tim Burton / was it Schumacher films. In that set, I got Superman 1, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, not the Richard Lester cut. So I had to go back to another place and get the Richard Lester cut on DVD just so I can watch, the two different cuts.
Nice, okay.
Of the film. So now I have the Richard Lester cut on DVD, and then I have the Richard Donner cut on special edition Blu-ray. So there you go. Multiple options.
Yeah, and technically, I think they put it on Blu-ray, but there's actually a longer cut of the 78 Superman film where it's just a few minutes longer. It got a couple more scenes in it, and they've put that on Blu-rays, like they call it the extended cut. Wherever else, but
yeah, it is called the extended cut. I've not seen that cut of Superman 1, but I know it does exist.
Yeah.
Which is true. And by the way, Dave Mattingly says, I specifically like Superman 2, the Donner cut, especially. Okay, that's fair. I completely understand why.
Yeah, Richard Lester started leaning in heavy into the camp.
Campy, yeah.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Half of Superman 2 is a really good movie, but then it starts getting campy. So you can tell who took over where. It's very clear delineation of who took over where.
Yeah. And here, as we're celebrating the 15th anniversary of Iron Man, we are an hour and 28 minutes into the film where the big reveal has happened of who the real villain is and who he's been working with this entire flipping time. And if you're just joining us and you want to watch the movie along with us, feel free to queue it up on your streaming service or physical media and share your thoughts and your feelings about it in the comments or the live chat. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. And I want to thank our panelists known as the fanatic himself, George Bueller, for being with us here.
You're very welcome. My pleasure to be here.
A lot of fun facts have been tossed out throughout this entire presentation.
Well, I'm good for one thing, and that's trivia. So there you go.
And now Tony seems to be asking Pepper Potts to do him a very serious favor that could be risky. They've been dealing under the table. I'm going to stop them. No matter what happens. I'm going to find all my weapons. I'm going to destroy him.
And there's another fun Easter egg coming up when Pepper gets in Stane's office.
Oh, but well, I think it's Tony's office that she gets into, isn't it? She has to sneak into Tony's office.
Or yeah, either way, yeah, whatever. But
yeah, it's Tony's office that she has to.
When she sneaks in the office, is getting all of Stane's files.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. There's when we get to it, there's a fun Easter egg in there.
Ooh, I did not notice this, George. You're gonna have to inform me once we get to the office sequence.
Yeah, it took a few viewings to catch this one, but I was like, this one wasn't a Marvel Easter egg.
Oh, okay. We'll have to take a look at this as the scene comes up. You're gonna have to point it out for us. I just finally know what I have to do. I shouldn't be alive unless it was for a reason. You know, some of the stuff that he says in this movie is not just true of the character he's portraying, but true of himself in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he's made so many mistakes and he's owned up to it, and he says, "I with all the stuff that I've been through, I shouldn't be alive unless it was for a reason."
Yep, and that reason was to play Iron Man
for the rest of your natural born life. Which the same thing happened with Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine for the rest of his life. So
well, I mean, he played Iron Man for about 6 or 7 movies here, and maybe we'll see him one day. They keep teasing he's going to return, and then he's not going to return. I'm like, listen, if you're going to kill somebody off, make sure they stay dead. That's the thing is that his death does mean very much, within the MCU, but also like just for a moment during Secret Wars to have an alternate universe Tony step through to help out. Wouldn't that be a moment of like just getting everybody just like, you could hear the cheers already. You could see the eyes getting filled with tears, seeing, not our Tony, but a Tony come through and help out in a time of need here.
So let's see.
We're going to see a lot of alternate universe.
Yeah, Tony Stark.
People's anyway in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Yeah, that's it. That's a given.
What was the Easter egg that you wanted to point out?
Hasn't come up yet.
Let me see. What are you up to, Obadiah? Sector 16.
Okay, yeah.
Ultra secret sector. Playing a video file of his kidnapping.
Yeah, on the left, one of the files there in green is labeled Lebowski.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Initiate copy of file. Okay. Lebowski. That's funny.
Yeah.
Where's the money, Lebowski? I don't know. Let me go back down there and take a better look.
Where's the money?
Where's the and I can't say this on air, but when he's in the tub and and the guys who are threatening him say, and if you don't do it, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll cut off your blank by blank. Excuse me. I said we'll cut off your thing. It's like,
Johnson.
oh
gosh. Johnson. It's okay.
Yeah. Sorry. But anyway, the other funny thing about that movie is John Goodman's character. He says, "Shut the blank up, Donnie. Shut up, Donnie." He says that like 30 times in the movie. You ever notice that?
Yes, he does.
He says that an awful lot. It seems like he doesn't like Donnie very much.
Well, they like Donnie because he gets upset when Donnie gets killed and Donnie dies. Well, he doesn't really killed, but Donnie has a heart attack and dies. Yeah. So Walter gets very upset by it. But yeah, he was always very quick to pick on Donnie or just shut down Donnie's contribution to whatever the conversation was.
Jeez.
Oh, Dave Mattingly is bringing up a good point about
the rumors about Multiverse of Madness totally fooled me that we'd see Tom Cruise in an actual Iron Man suit, but he wasn't in it, was he?
No, he wasn't. But
okay.
But again, that was going back to in the 90s, we almost had an Iron Man film that would have been produced and starring Tom Cruise as Tony Stark. It literally almost happened. It would have been 1994, I think. So
94.
Yeah. And
just like that Docking Bay, right? Docking Bay, 94.
And then in 99, we almost had an Iron Man movie with Nick Cage in the role.
I could see back then I could have seen Cruise doing it, but not so much Nick Cage.
Oh, totally. No, yeah. Yeah, basically the Nick Cage one fell apart faster than the Tom Cruise one. And then, of course, a few years later, Nick got Ghost Rider. So...
Yeah, which you can turn your brain off and enjoy the first Ghost Rider, but the second one is such a piece of garbage. It's so bad.
Agreed.
So messy. It really doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the first one's not great either. At least it's mostly accurate to the characters and whatnot.
Oh, to the character, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to have seen Mephisto and Blackheart be a little more demonic in their appearance and not just like, oh, hey, here's the dude from American Beauty and there's Peter Fonda. And they just look well dressed, but it's like, no, you're friggin' the devil and his son. They don't look like normal dudes, It's like they are demons, the demons.
There you go.
Some would say Blackheart, in the comics, some would say Blackheart's even worse than Mephisto.
Jeez.
Because whereas Mephisto has plans and designs and whatever else, Blackheart is kind of like a bull in a china shop with a lot of power. He doesn't care about designs. If he has a mission, he wants to do something, he will do it, and he will do it in the most brutal way possible.
All right,
here we go. So, this scientist here that's talking right now, that's Peter Billingsley. Most notably, we know him from A Christmas Story as Ralphie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why he is in here is because he is a personal friend of Jon Favreau.
My good... Man, Jon Favreau is friends with everybody.
Yeah.
He's friends with everybody. He's literally friends with everybody in Hollywood.
And Peter, of course, is a writer and director himself as well as an actor. And, of course, we get to see another flash of Peter Billingsley's character in, the second... Spider-Man film, Far From Home.
Oh, that's right. The second, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hot take. I didn't like Far From Home.
It was fun.
Didn't like it.
I never
didn't like it. With Mysterio being connected to Tony Stark, it seems like every character in any movie has to be connected to Tony Stark in some way, shape, or form. And I thought to myself, that's not Mysterio. That is not Mysterio.
Well, see, the thing is, Mysterio was a failed actor who was using movie props to create illusions or whatever else. While that kind of works in the 60s, it doesn't work today because there are no movie props. It's all CGI. So basically, if you have anybody that is a regular human character, all their technology has to derive somewhere, and the provider of all this stuff right now in the MCU is Tony. So it once again also shows exactly how important of a character Tony is to the MCU. Even in death, his reach is still out there. People are still affected by the things he has done, the things he has built. So
I just didn't like it. I didn't like how Mysterio was connected to Stark, and he was just a not spoiled, but he was a ex-employee acting like a 2-year-old. I hated that. I was like, this isn't Mysterio. That honestly, I'm not the biggest Tom Holland Spider-Man fan. I'm just not. I mean, his Homecoming was fine, even though we had my boy Michael Keaton in there as the Vulture, and he was, even though once again he was a disgruntled employee who was fired by Tony Stark or removed by Tony Stark's company, whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. And then Far From Home comes up, and once again, Mysterio's connected to Tony. I'm just like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing the name Tony Stark in every single superhero movie. I'm just tired of it. So for me, the Tom Holland movies are down here. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. But anyway, Dave Mattingly goes on to say, if you make an arc reactor, you'll poke your eye out, kid. And then Dave Mattingly says, Mysterio has always been one of my favorite Spidey villains. See, as a Spider-Man villain, I like Mysterio, but the fact that he's connected to Tony Stark in this iteration of his character, I hated that. I hated it.
Well, but see, though, it makes sense because you can't.
I know, but it just bothers me.
Well, they have to, like I said, I always have these discussions with people who are talking about, like, they want the characters that they know from the comics basically literally sucked out of the page, unchanged as we know them. That doesn't work for this MCU. Basically because a lot of these characters are 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 years old. Like, we had Namor in Wakanda Forever. You can't have a white guy with a widow's peak show up, out of the water and say, hey, I'm from Atlantis. No, you're not. There's no Anglo-Saxons buried in the water. But if it's somebody that's from a Mayan descent, that's thousands of years old, that works. So
which I get.
They have to change things around a little bit. They have to twist, stuff around. So again, it shows exactly how important certain characters are within the MCU. Captain America is extremely important because the super soldier serum has begat so much else, beyond him.
And Tony Stark had a hand in that, not because of Captain America, but they mentioned it in the Incredible Hulk that he had a connection to the Incredible Hulk. So, which I get. See, for me, it just worked in the beginning, but then as slowly but surely as the MCU kept getting older and older, I'm thinking, okay, not everything has to be connected to Tony Stark. Okay, there are millions of other reasons why villains become villains. But that for me, for me, George, for me personally, it just didn't work for me.
Well, yeah, you kind of think of like Tony Stark as like a Jeff Bezos character. Like Amazon employs hundreds of thousands of people around the world.
Yeah.
So the likelihood that you're going to get a lot of disgruntled employees, all disgruntled by the same employer, pretty high. Stark Industries is a big company.
Yeah.
So, and Tony's technology changed everything. So basically, his design for the arc reactor, his design for the suit, and all the other stuff, that was revolutionary. And even if someone does it today. So that's I have zero problem with the fact that Tony's got such a reach throughout the MCU.
And by the way, Dave Mattingly says Dummy the robot redeems himself in Iron Man by passing him the other arc reactor. That was his first one.
Yep.
Nice. He says, "Good boy." That was a good one, by the way. That was a good one, by the way. Yeah, I think for the movie and its villain here in Iron Man, it worked.
It did.
Because he worked with his dad. He helped his dad build a company from the ground up. And I guess, when you have all that money and you have all that power, it kind of corrupts you after a while. And he just made some deals with some not so nice people, also known as the 10 Rings. So, and he was dealing under the table, as Tony Stark pointed out earlier on during the course of the film. And just to let you know, We are 1 hour and 41 minutes into this movie known as Iron Man, celebrating its 15th anniversary here at Nerd Culture Channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any thoughts about this movie, Iron Man, whether you're watching us live or on the replay, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat, and thank you so much for being with us. And by the way, Dave Mattingly says, I like the actor known as Don Cheadle as the new Rhodey. I've always been a fan of him. Okay.
I agree with Dave. Yeah, I like Don Cheadle better in the role. Just I don't know if it's I like him better than Terrence Howard or what, but yeah, I like him better in the role. Of course, we're going to get to see Don Cheadle coming up in a couple different Marvel projects because he's going to be in Secret Invasion. He's going to definitely be involved in Armor Wars. We may even see him in Thunderbolts.
Dave Mattingly. Is that some kind of lockpick? Which was the device that Agent Coulson used a moment ago. And then he says, you might want to take a few steps back.
Use some S.H.I.E.L.D. gadgets. And I miss S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah, boy, man. That, by the way, that reveal in The Winter Soldier, that was a big jaw dropper. That was huge. We were losing our minds in the what was it, in the movie theater. Which, by the way, I'm wearing a Captain America the Winter Soldier T-shirt because it's one of the few Marvel shirts that I own. And by the way, fun fact: Captain America, what was it, the Winter Soldier, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's my favorite MCU solo movie.
Oh yeah, it's
so good. It's so freaking good.
It is.
It's great.
Well, it's one of my favorite. It kind of depicts one of my favorite periods of the Captain America books of kind of the mid to late 70s going into the 80s where it was very heavy in the espionage and you had Falcon and Black Widow in almost every issue. So it's kind of that great trio of the three of them working on stuff. You had a lot more espionage-y kind of stories and whatever else. So yeah, just great stuff. Of course, the fun thing was if you're a Marvel reader of, basically been reading for a long time, especially in Captain America stuff, you're very used to Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. For being a world police, their security was garbage because Hydra invaded them constantly, turned agents. There's a very famous Nick Fury story called basically Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D. And basically it's literally Nick versus all of his friends.
Wow.
In S.H.I.E.L.D., everybody turns on him. So he's basically, fighting the agency he helped build.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, so it's, Hydra always, Hydra gets in all the time. So, while that turn was great, it was not completely unexpected for a advanced Marvel reader like myself. You were just waiting for it.
Yeah, but that was I did. Winter Soldier's a great. I actually read the graphic novel, The Winter Soldier, by what was it?
Ed Brubaker.
Yeah, dude, Brubaker's a boss. So when I read the graphic novel that the movie was loosely based on, I'm thinking to myself, dude, this graphic novel is even freaking awesome. Like the movie is good, but the graphic novel might be even better because it's adds so many more layers to the story. It's so good. If you have not read that, definitely check out Captain America: The Winter Soldier from Brubaker and his. Who else was on that creative team? But Brubaker was I think he was the writer. But the team that did it was fantastic.
Was it? No, it wasn't Sean Phillips, was it?
I can't remember. I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, I love.
It was a great team.
He does a lot of crime noir stuff.
Oh, he's great. Brubaker and Phillips. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were like made for each other, those two.
Dave actually has a neat little aside here about Monger.
If you never finished the series, the final 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are extremely good. You know what, Dave? After season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I quit. So
the last couple seasons get weird because basically everything gets detached from the MCU, so they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
So the last 2 seasons are very much out of time and out of continuity.
Oh, and he says that shot of Ironmonger's glowing eyes in the movie Iron Man in the warehouse is very reminiscent of Hulk's reveal in the factory.
Yep.
Of the Incredible Hulk?
Yep. Yeah, literally. So basically, there's that, and then of course, basically you got Ironmonger chasing Pepper through kind of a narrow way, kind of he's bashing stuff like that. That's also reminiscent of the first Avengers movie.
In the Avengers,
Hulk's freaking out and chasing. So they like using that little kind of narrow sort of I don't know, whatever you want to call that narrow shot where you got a big monster chasing. You're like, oh my god.
I think that the villain here, I think, was good for this movie, and also the suit was cool too. Them just beating the heck out of each other in the street, like it's good action for a film that was made in 2008. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it works because you got somebody that's like, okay, he's a lesser industrialist than Tony is, so it's like, okay, so this is a larger Mark I suit, so it's big and bulky and looks like it's powerful, but it's very, very clunky.
Mm-hmm.
And probably doesn't have anywhere near the bells and whistles that the Mark II does.
It's kind of a, what do you call it, a blueprint, maybe a predecessor to the what is it called, the Hulkbuster. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It kind of, yeah. It could be it could be very easily a predecessor.
Mm-hmm. Sir, it appears that his suit can fly. Duly noted. Take me to maximum altitude. 15% power. I know the math. Just do it. And Dave Mattingly says, "How did you solve the icing problem?" Yeah. How did you solve the icing problem? We really didn't. So it's called deploy flaps. Mm-hmm. Get me major. Don't worry, sir. It's just a training exercise.
I love it too. It's like Ironmonger's like, yeah, I can fly too, but his a lot bigger suit, a lot heavier suit, and his jet boots are not as powerful, so it takes him a while to get off. It's like launching a space shuttle.
Yeah. And then what was it? And we caught this earlier in the movie, but he says, "Hey, just make sure you keep the skies clear." And then Rhodey turns to the suit and he says, "Next time, baby." It's like, we would have liked to have seen Terrence Howard as War Machine, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be.
Well,
it was a nice teaser, though.
It's Rhodey the character gets redeemed, but Terrence Howard the actor does not. So, greed can consume all.
How'd you solve the icing problem? Icing problem? Yeah, how'd you solve the icing problem? I want to look into it. Ding! Just gives him he gives him like one punch right to the top of the head. You notice that? Just clunk. Yeah. How did you solve the icing problem? I don't know. Drive it 2%, 2%. We're now running on emergency backup power.
And a whole big old thing of dead weight just falling.
Oof, man. Falls on top of the roof, if I remember correctly. Tony.
Whoops.
Oh my god, where are you? I'm almost out of power. We gotta get out of this thing. I'll be right there. Uh-oh. Ducks it. Oh, doesn't have a sword. Oh, he gets whacked. Oh, goes for that super punch. Oh my goodness. Flares. Very clever, Tony. He's good. Jeff Bridges is so good. He's good as a villain and he's good as a voice actor.
Yeah, he did. That's kind of interesting too because he didn't normally play a lot of villainous characters. Dave said 37 pieces of flair.
That's at least 37 pieces of flair. Wow, is it 37 flares? Okay. That's interesting to me.
No, Office Space. He's referencing.
Office. I'm sorry. I haven't seen that movie in a hot minute there, Dave. I've seen the movie.
I'm right there with you, Dave. I'm right there with you, buddy.
I've seen the movie, but I've not seen it in a hot minute there, George.
Especially if you work in a corporate field in any way, shape, or form, you will earn a whole new appreciation for the accuracy of Office Space. If you've never worked in a corporate office of any shape or form, you may not have as much of a frame of reference, but if you do, you gain a whole new appreciation for it. And that was my story.
Oh, there you go.
So when it first came out, I was a Beavis and Butthead fan. I'm like, oh yeah, new Mike Judge movie. I'm going to check it out. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then I worked for a IT high-speed service provider. And suddenly I'm like, oh my God, that whole movie makes sense now. So.
You finally outdid yourself, Tony. You would have made your father proud. Man, he's on top of that roof, but there's an awful lot of glass there.
Some would say a dangerous amount.
Yeah. and he says that they want to overload the arc reactor and just explode everything on the roof, or take out everything that's been placed on the roof. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, man, that thing is definitely going to explode.
Jack.
Dave Mattingly says, "Iron Man, you're such a glass hole." Oh, God, I've never heard that one before, Dave. I've never heard that before.
Now, whether or not this is a coincidence or not, but basically the window that Tony's hanging from, when you see the angle looking up at it, notice how that looks like the same window of a TIE fighter?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Now I notice it. You're right, George.
Is that a bit of foreshadowing of what Favreau's going to be doing in another, I don't know,
franchise?
10 plus years?
Another franchise, I would assume, right?
Dip my toes into Marvel, and then I'm going to go over here to Star Wars and play around a little bit.
Play around with, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Wow. That thing is over. Whoa. That arc reactor is gone. What is it called? Gone bananas. That's it.
I saw that thing at an ELO concert back in 1978, man. So, you know, that's old hat.
Oh, look at this. He falls right through the window. Oh.
Going down.
He is out. Oh.
He hit every crossbeam on the way down. That's gotta hurt.
Goodness gracious.
Great ball of fire.
I see what you did there, George.
Well, you started it.
I know. I opened the door. You walked right through it. That's right.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
did. Tony, you alive? Tony, where's Tony? Tony, where you at? Oh, we have a press conference. There has been an incident at Stark Industries, and Colonel James Rhodes is now speaking in front of the press. Caused some damage in the armor. Iron Man. That's kind of catchy. It's got a nice ring to it, don't you think? It's kind of evocative, the imagery. Anyway, you know. Oh, Dave Mattingly says, just stick to the note cards, Tony. Sworn statements from 50 of your guests. People would. I think we should just say it was Pepper and me, alone in the island. That's what happened, right? I mean, just read it word for word. There's nothing about Stone here. Well, that's being handled. He's on vacation. I mean, isn't that kind of flimsy? This isn't my first rodeo, Mr. Stark.
Oh, I love that too, because back in I would say the first 30 years of Iron Man's continuity in the comics, Iron Man was technically the bodyguard of Tony Stark because Tony wanted to have the separate persona. Like even with the other Avengers, most of them didn't know that Tony was Iron Man. It wasn't really until the 90s where Mike Grell, his brief run on Iron Man, where Tony revealed, "I'm Iron Man."
Wow!
And he did it at a party. He was saving a kid from falling off a roof because the kid was chasing after a puppy, and the puppy, you know, so basically he saves the puppy and the kid, and yeah, it was the dumbest way possible, but it's like, oh yeah, revealed to a whole bunch of people like, "I'm Iron Man." Hey.
Yeah. By the way, Dave Mattingly says one rodeo seems like a low number of rodeos to be considered an expert, according to Dave Mattingly.
You know what? If you've experienced something once, you're an expert more than someone who's never experienced it. So
I guess that's a fair point for George to bring up during this presentation. Gosh.
I'm good for practical nonsense. Trivia and practical nonsense. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and now Mr. Stark has prepared a statement. He will not be taking any questions. Thank you. All right. So I guess Tony's going to make a statement. It's been a while since I was trying to figure I'll stick to the cards this time. was a bodyguard in a suit that conveniently appeared. And what's, kind of confusing, it's one thing to, question the official story. It's another to make wild accusations. Dave Mattingly says, I think Ozzy Osbourne wrote Tony's lines. I am Iron Man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, what's about to happen here? Oh my goodness. He just admitted. He admitted it in front of the world. The truth is, I am Iron Man. Oh my god. And there you go. Iron Man's theme song kicks in by Black Sabbath. As he lost his mind.
The song Iron Man has absolutely nothing to do with the comic.
No, it doesn't. But it is a cool song, though, wouldn't you say?
It is. Yeah, but it's great. Yeah, it's a heavy metal classic. But yeah, people are always like, "Oh yeah, it's about Iron Man." No, it's not. It's not. Listen to the lyrics, folks. Listen to the lyrics. Nothing to do with Tony Stark.
Nothing to do. Nothing to do with the character. Oh my goodness. Well, let's. Oh my goodness. I tell you what. Him revealing himself at the end, though, that takes a lot of guts. I mean, that takes guts for any hero to reveal their secret identity of who they really are. That's just, you know what I mean? It takes guts.
Well, it's the thing too is that that was a big change. To not, basically to have Tony just be right up front with on a worldwide press conference, like, yeah, I'm the guy in the suit there. So he's a very public figure. When it comes to the hero, that's like Spider-Man really was the one of the few that tried to maintain a secret identity, like Steve Rogers didn't, Thor sure didn't. So so well, it's kind of an interesting change.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we skipped the credits here because apparently there's an end credits. There's a bonus scene at the end of the credits that gives us a pretty good idea of where this film, if not this franchise, is heading.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently there's a mystery man in Tony Stark's home.
And Jarvis isn't acting right.
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oof. 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 When that man, so at the end credit sequence has taken place, which means that we have reached the end of Iron Man for its 15th anniversary celebration, and we want to take this opportunity to say thank you, one and all, for being here with us. Wow, what a movie, what a showcase of great talent in front and behind the camera. Iron Man turns 15 years young, the film that started it all when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that end credit sequence with Nick Fury saying, hey, I'm here to talk to you about something. It's called the Avenger Initiative. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Man, when I saw that for the first time, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Are you seriously saying that you're going to try to form a cohesive unit, like a team? Is that what you're saying? Is that you're really going to, because I've heard that name once before, but I didn't think that's real. The Avengers are real and you're going to put it together. You and Tony Stark are going to do it. So our minds were blown. We were shocked beyond belief, but man, what a roadmap they planned out, because Jon Favreau comes out of nowhere with that last thing at the end, and boy, was it a stinger, I'll tell you. But listen, after we've had the chance to watch this movie for the first time, for some of us, it may be the first time in a long time, maybe we've rewatched it before. George, I got to ask you, what was it like watching this movie for its 15th anniversary? 15 years later, what do you think about this movie?
Oh, I think it still holds up, still a very enjoyable film. It's great to see a lot of the building blocks that show up in this movie, that we see some later payoffs down the way, later character developments for Tony himself, all sorts of things like that. So you can see the great amount of planning that Kevin Feige and his team had with building this MCU. Even starting off small, not thinking this thing would be as big as it was, but it was. I mean, they had a plan in place. We're going to introduce all of our characters, build this world, flesh these people out, and then eventually we're going to get to one of the biggest stories in Marvel, history in the comics with the Infinity Gauntlet saga. So yeah, just to think, where it starts here to where it goes is just that's just such an amazing feat to be able to pull off.
And on a scale 1 to 10, what do you give Iron Man?
I'd say I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8, solid 8.
Yep, that's actually what I was going to go with to piggyback off your point. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think Iron Man is a fun film. It's a really good origin story. I think it's a solid origin story for the MCU as a whole. And Jon Favreau, man, I knew he was so money, he just didn't even know it, but he was so money that he made a comic book movie after starring in one just a few years prior to this, which is insane. It's insane. The man is multi-talented, and he's got lots of great creative ideas, and he's doing a great job now shepherding alongside Dave Filoni with the Star Wars franchise. But yeah, for me, this film holds up. I think it's fun. It's enjoyable. If you've never seen it before, give it a watch. If you've never heard of Iron Man, great introduction for the character. If you want to know more about the comic books, this is a good introduction for you. And if you want to learn more about the comic books, talk to George over here, which we'll get to in a minute. But I do want to say, once again, George Bueller, thank you so much for being with us, my kind sir. You are a gentleman. You're a scholar. You're a fountain of useless knowledge that is going to pay off in the long run. One of these days, Dave Mattingly says towards the end here, Iron Man came out on May 3rd, actually. Incredible Hulk came out just 5 weeks later on June 13th of 2008. Yes. Yes, it did. And I'm very proud of that.
Cool, too, to get those, kind of like back-to-back like that almost, so...
It was a great time to be a fan, and it still is today. And then Dave Mattingly has a question for us here as we're starting to wind down. Who do you think is the best villain in the MCU? For me, it's Kilgrave, the Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
That's a very good villain. If we're talking about villains right now that we have, I'm going for Kingpin, man. D'Onofrio killed it in the role, still does.
Still does.
He reprised the role. So I'm going to say Kingpin, but I'm holding out hope that I get my Doctor Doom, get a proper Doctor Doom. And yeah, so I'm just, Doom's my guy. He's my favorite villain, always has been. So yeah, I want a proper Doom.
There you go. One can only hope. We'll find out as the MCU continues to roll along. 15 years we're into this thing, and it's still going strong. According to some fans, maybe not so much for others. I don't know. That's open to interpretation. But I do want to let you know that our next movie anniversary watch-along is coming up Tuesday night, May the 2nd. X2, X-Men United turns the big 2020. That's going down Tuesday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have some very, very, very special guests join us for that one. And then on May 25th, Star Wars Return of the Jedi turns the big 4-0 officially. I know it's in theaters right now. I know Star Wars Day is coming up, but the actual release date is May 25th. Get it right, folks. Return of the Jedi, we're going to throw a celebration for both X2, X-Men United, and Return of the Jedi on those respective dates. Stay tuned to our social media for all those announcements and updates. Also, Star Wars Day is coming up on Thursday. May the 4th be with you. See what I did there? Yeah, it's clever. And it's going down Thursday, May 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a few special guests are going to be joining us for that. We're going to be celebrating all things Star Wars, whether it's the movies, the TV series, the books, the comics, George, the comics. Hello. Or just anything that your heart desires from Star Wars. We're going to be celebrating that on May the 4th. And also, we put this out on our social media, and I'm curious. We have a very special guest joining us on Thursday, May the 11th, on a very special episode of And I Quote. The question is, who is it? Who could it be?
Do we have any sort of hints?
Well,
I mean, is this a artist? Is this an author? Is this a filmmaker?
Let me put it to you this way: we put it out on
ventriloquist. I mean,
it could be, but I'll tell you this: we put it out on our social media. We are asking people on our Instagram story right now. It is on there right now. Toss in your guesses. Let us know who you think it is. I will give you a slight hint because all will be revealed in time of who this special guest is going to be on Thursday night, May the 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. This person has done both voice acting, live action acting, and has had a past with writing things. So this person has been a voice actor, and a writer. So there's your hint. If anyone knows who it is, toss in your guesses on our Instagram story at It's Nerd Culture on Instagram. All will be revealed in time. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say. And Dave Mattingly, one more thing here for you, young man. Dave Mattingly says, I'd love to see Dr. Doom played by either Giancarlo Esposito or John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves.
Esposito, yes. Reeves, nah.
He's going to be busy for the next couple of years with John Wick, so he's fine. Keanu Reeves is just fine.
I think John Wick's going to take a siesta for the time being. If he does anything, his next franchise is probably going to be Berserker. But Giancarlo Esposito would be interesting, but I think Esposito is being eyed for
other stuff.
Because there's talk that he's been looked at for both Xavier and Magneto, which I would love it for Magneto because unfortunately in the year that we are in. To have somebody that is, a victim of World War II concentration camps, we're dealing with a very old character, and they don't have any sort of life expectancy that's gone beyond normal people. So basically, why not take someone who's gone under some oppression, say during the civil rights, struggles in the '60s?
Okay.
Basically, you get that same level of oppression, same level of hate, and to breed somebody that's angry like Magneto. You just basically, it's not Nazis, it's different evil white people.
Oh boy. Well, who knows what's going to happen with that. And then Dave Manley says, on May 11th, could it be Bruce Campbell? It might be. It might be. You never know. You never know. Because like I said, it's a mystery guest. You don't know until you know, which all will be revealed in time. With that being said, thank you all for being here. Congratulations to the entire cast and crew of Iron Man for celebrating 15 years of greatness and a great first film to start off what is known as the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. George, where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media and everything that you have that's coming up? What do you got for us?
Fanatic Forum is where you can find me. I'm on YouTube and Facebook if you want to basically see the podcast live when we air on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. But if you aren't able to join us live, you can still find us on demand on Facebook and YouTube. But also, anywhere you download audio podcasts, you can find Fanatic Forum on there. We talk comics, movies, TV, wrestling, video games, all things nerd. Of course, I've got a regular show coming up on Friday, but then coming up on May 27th is Creative Overload. That's happening in Louisville. It's a convention that's basically by and for artists. So you basically get to go around to different artist tables, see their different wares, and buy directly from them. And let them showcase themselves. So that's going to be coming up there. And I'll be doing media for that all day. So look forward to that. So Free Comic Book Day, of course, is coming up on Saturday. So get out to your local comic book store and get yourself some free books and take advantage of their sales because probably most of these stores are going to have different sales and specials as well. So support your local comic book shop.
Right on, my man. George Bueller, thank you so much for being with us. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure you're following us across all forms of social media. All the links to where you can follow us as well as George Bueller are located within the description of this video. So don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified of when new videos go up. We are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, we're going to throw a big live stream with some returning guests, some surprise guests, and some special giveaways for you, our incredible fans. And thank you for helping us reach over 800 subscribers thus far. We're this close. We're getting ever so close to 1,000. We can do it. All you got to do is just gather your friends and tell them, Avengers, assemble. That's all you got to do. It's as simple as that. Gee whiz. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and remember, life is two things. One, life is better when reading comics, and life is better when watching movies with your friends. Avengers, assemble.
You become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Now available on Blu-ray and DVD.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah, I can fly.
I just said, wow, man, what a cool suit, what a great crew, what a blast.
We wanted to have more fun and have more action and really deliver the Hulk that we thought audiences wanted to see.
Oh, it's good to be back.
As soon as I heard that there was a possible part, I was desperate to be a part of it.
I want one.
No.
I feel incredibly excited to be sort of part of it.
I thought it was such an extraordinary project.
At least make it a challenge for me. Just don't know when to give up, do you?
I can do this all day. He's everything that I wish I could be as a man. He's good for the sake of good.
What made you so special?
Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
What we're doing here is completely unprecedented. Marvel is taking the characters and bringing them all together in a team franchise movie experience, which really has never been done before.
And for the first time ever, from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Phase 1, Avengers Assemble Limited Edition Collection. Available now at participating retailers and at AvengersAssemble.com.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.